It's Monday on Chicago Hockey Radio, Zoom edition. Lee Grossman, Justin Lynch, Tassos Kirkos, and Raven Gasser. Bringing it to you live. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. We're doing on Zoom today because we are live streaming the game tonight as Spencer Knight makes his Florida Panthers debut against the Los Angeles Kings. We made the quick decision yesterday to live stream the game tonight, so we figured we would have everybody on Zoom, so not everybody was coming into the studio twice. So be sure to stick around later tonight, 7:30 Central Time start, as the Blackhawks host the LA Kings at the United Center. What else we got here? Live show on Wednesday at Midwest Coast Brewing. Be there. We've got a few more people have signed up. I'm just like getting really excited for this on Wednesday. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. So that will be a ton of that'll just be great. And also a ticket giveaway. One of our awesome listeners, Will DeCaro, hooked us up with tickets because he's coming to the live show. He had tickets for Wednesday's game. He said, I'm going to the live show. Do you guys want to use the tickets for a giveaway? And we said, sure. Yeah, he's such a beauty, honestly.
He'd rather be a CHR enjoyer in person than go to the Blackhawks game. He's so real for that.
Yes.
Honestly.
Incredibly real from Will. Thank you, Will. So if you are not coming to the live show, which we want everybody to come to the live show, we'd rather you come to the live show than come to the game. But if you are really itching to go get 2 free tickets to the game, then enter our giveaway. Okay. We're going to talk K-Wings too. I'm repping my K-Wings jersey right now.
It's a nice jersey right there. Nice strip.
Yeah, we're going to get into Seth Jones. We're going to get into Spencer Knight. We're going to get into all that. And the start tonight, obviously, and Seth Jones hitting the ice today with the Florida Panthers for practice for the first time this morning. But we went to the K-Wings game. I'll show you the Kalamazoo Wings. They played the Indy Fuel. They won 5-4 in overtime. Super excited.
Fort Wayne
Comets. My gosh. Sorry. I don't know, man. Long day.
Our allegiances probably would have been different at the game if they were playing the Indy Fuel.
Yeah, no Blackhawks affiliate for all the listeners who are not aware of that.
Yeah. Fort Wayne Comets. That was a ton of fun. Shout out Andrew Holt for hooking us up with the tickets.
What a beauty.
Yeah, honestly, gave us a tour of the arena. We got to go down to the stick room and, see some different things. And he showed a really cool barn, super old, 50 years old. This is their 50th anniversary season. That's why it's got the patch here on this jersey. Yeah, I don't know. I had a ton of fun, boys.
That was a great game. 5-4 overtime win. I mean, that's probably as much as you could expect out of a ECHL game. It was a ton of fun. So, and yeah, no, the barn. I mean, it might be a bit of a dump, but it's got character, right? It was a pretty cool arena, kind of like a Shoresy type of arena, and the crowd was really into it, man. I was really impressed at that.
Yeah.
And just a fun experience overall, just to see different hockey leagues teams and just kind of span the mantra there. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that barn was like a time capsule. Seriously, walking around that place, I was like, this feels unreal. And then, the atmosphere, I didn't know what to expect because I've never been to, I've never been to an AHL game, let alone an
You haven't been to a Wolves game?
Or Ice Hogs game? Wow.
No, I've never been to an Ice Hogs game. I mean, that's pretty out of the way. I probably went to a couple Wolves games when I was a little youngin', so doesn't count. But dude, it was I would compare it to a high school football atmosphere. It's all locals who regularly support the team and go to the games. And they were passionate as hell. There were people around us getting super fired up, and I think we were trying to add into it a little bit.
Oh yeah,
this guy who broke his stick and it went flying over the boards. Should have been a penalty, it wasn't. But then we were just leading the boos every time he got the puck for the rest of the game, just firing everybody up. So honestly, such a great experience. My expectations were not very high at all going in, if I'm being honest with you. But I left that thing being I would do this again. This was really fun. So shout out to Holt.
The thing too is it's almost to me it was college basketball a little bit, where each team,
that too.
They have their own chants, they have their own thing, things that they do after goals and during penalties and after they kill a penalty, and it's I don't know, it was a good atmosphere.
It's different. It's very different game. But man, those seats are so good too. It's you really get appreciation for the speed and physicality of the game up close. Yeah. And it's a lot of these guys could play in the AHL, so they're certainly not plugs. They're damn good hockey players. They're dust the hell out of any of us here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
absolutely.
that's no doubt. They
If
played
you're
Division One and Major Junior.
Yeah.
if you're like, because I know we have a lot of CHR enjoyers that are like not from the Chicagoland area. Like, if you're from an area that doesn't have like a major NHL franchise, but you've got something like that, go to those games. They're awesome. Like,
Yeah.
if I lived in Kalamazoo, I would go to K-Wings games all the time.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. Those rural Michigan people, man, they're really into their hockey. So definitely a fun experience to see that for sure. Yeah.
It was cool seeing how they do like the video board. Like they have a really nice what do you call it? Like
The screen, it's
the
really
screen.
like long. You know what kind of remind me of?
Jumbotron.
It reminded me of the Avalanche's scoreboard on Wish. Like it almost spanned the entire ceiling there above the ice. So that was pretty cool. Wouldn't expect to see that. And also like just like it was so low.
It was
Like
so
a lot of
low,
pucks,
dude.
a lot of pucks hitting
Dude,
the ceiling
dude,
there.
if
Yeah.
you were on the ice and you like reached up and jumped, you might be able to like nick it a little bit. It
Just
was so
yeah.
low. And then also the boards were so low. It didn't feel like a normal, like it was so cool. I was kind of scared just like sitting that close to the glass that a puck was just gonna fly over and dome me. It didn't happen, but as I said, there was a stick that just launched over the glass, and
And they kicked the guy out. The guy who
yeah, he
grabbed the
got
stick.
kicked out.
Like what?
The dude who grabbed the stick got kicked out. I don't know if he was like saying a lot of shit to the guy who like broke his stick, or if he was just refusing to give the stick to security. But either way, he shouldn't have been kicked out. So justice for that guy.
Yeah, no, definitely. F's in the chat for him. Also, like the glass was so low. Like if you wanted to, like climb over that and go on the ice, you could very easily do
It'd be
that.
so easy.
Yeah, and normally you could do those alley-oop plays, with the puck. But like every time you try to do that, it's just gonna hit the ceiling. So that was pretty funny. Definitely a different type of arena. Apparently, they're getting a new one though. I think built right now. That's gonna be ready in a few years. So yeah, I might not be playing there much longer, but it is a nice arena for what it
That
is.
sucks. They should never move out of that place.
It's got character. It's
That is a
different.
fortress, dude.
Yeah, on the outside doesn't look like much, but on the inside, like no, it's good atmosphere there. Yeah.
I can only imagine what it's like maybe for like a Friday night game or like even a playoff game. Like I
Yeah,
bet it
'cause
would
that
be
was
really
Sunday
cool.
afternoon. I'm sure it'd
Dude,
be even better for that. But that was a great game too. I think that was like the third straight as well. Like that's so different with those minor leagues. It's like you could play three consecutive games. That's a lot of hockey. I think that was their fourth and fifth games too. Like wow.
Yeah.
and Holt literally said that on Friday it was like pretty much capped out. So like in the concourse there, when we were like leaving the game, it was already packed, and it was probably, I don't know, maybe 2/3 full yesterday. But like, dude, imagine if that place was packed, it would be
Be impossible to get around there in those concourses. They were so
crazy.
tight. Also, you know
Yeah.
what I like about the ECHL? I didn't realize they do this. Something maybe the NHL could take notes of. We went to 3-on-3 overtime. It was 7 minutes.
Yeah.
7-minute overtime. I like that. I like a longer 3-on-3, less shootouts. I think the NHL should take notes of that. Yeah.
Yeah, they love testing out stuff in the ECHL, which is like that's what it's for. It's a league where you can play around, do different things. Friday was their Harry Potter jersey night, so
I
we saw
almost copped one. Yeah, I thought about that. Love
That
my
was
Harry
cool.
Potter. Yeah.
It was cool, but it's just it's super minor league. They do all those kinds of things to like keep people engaged. There was a lot. It was like mascot day at the arena too yesterday, so the arena was teeming with different Michigan mascots. It was
And they did a game in the intermission there. That was pretty fun.
I kept cursing out the Fort Wayne Comets mascot. I kept like flicking him off. There was probably like little children around me just hearing me harass that dude, but I just didn't fuck with that guy. I don't know what it was about him, but I just didn't like him.
That's your op over there?
Yeah. I'm a Slappy guy. Shout out to Slappy.
Yeah, Slappy's him. Speaking of Lee Grosman, man, those that soundtracks you were playing on the way there and back to the arena, they're a nice 2 hour and 30-minute drive, just lived in my head rent free. Like that was all I was dreaming about at night. So thank you for that, Mr. Grosman. As we were all crapped into his van over there.
Absolutely. Yeah, the drive was a really fun part of that trip too, low key. Just like, I don't know, hanging out with the boys, chirping each other, listening to tunes. It was a good Sunday.
Yeah, the way back was a bit different, but maybe we'll keep that to ourselves.
Yeah.
where are we going next?
Oh yeah, we should. That's what we should do. We should just be checking like arenas and experiences off the bucket list here. Like maybe a side gig to the Blackhawks, just like random like minor league hockey teams. That'd be kind of fun.
It would be awesome if we can get to a point where we're getting like paid to go to see other arenas and other teams, because like that would be such a fun like CHR regular segment. Like every couple months we're taking a road trip somewhere to see some like minor league hockey barn. Oh my gosh, I'd be so fired up for that.
That'd be sick. That's a great idea there. I like that.
If we go to another game, somebody put that in here. We should go check out a Chicago Steel game.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah.
I've been to some Steel. The Wolves are very easy. Well, actually, I know you're not a big Wolves guy, but Ice Hogs, we could go see them. They're not too far away. There's a lot of ECHL teams too that are pretty close. So I'm sure we can make that work, make that happen for sure. Maybe college games too on the docket, maybe. Yeah.
I would love to. There's no college hockey in Illinois.
Yeah, what's the deal with that, man? Oh, yeah, the new ECHL franchise. Yeah,
Bloomington is a team that we could probably see if we could get a little scratch from to go promote their whole deal since they're brand new first season.
Yeah, no, that excites me less than the K Wings, but yeah, maybe we could go see them at some point. I know a guy who was like an intern there, so maybe he could hook us up. We'll see.
That would be cool.
I'll hint him for that maybe.
Yeah, but yeah. Shout out Andrew. Thank you so much for the tickets for the tour. Man. Like, he's going to be at the live show on Wednesday too. So we're excited to just hang out again and drink some beers together. We're
paying it forward.
Yeah, it'll be cool. Raven said it was like, oh, we got to watch you work, and now you get to watch us work. So yeah.
Exactly, and you'll see some behind the scenes stuff, right? We'll have a video at some point, detailing our experiences there at the CHL game, and also the upcoming show on Wednesday, Midwest Coast Brewing, should be a ton of fun. Yeah.
We might need Andrew walking around the audience with like a camera, as a separate feed.
That's what he was doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep doing your job with us. Yeah.
Just a quick reminder, I didn't say it off the hop, but subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram at Chicago Hockey Radio for both of them, and leave a 5-star rating and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It really does a tremendous amount to help us out. And yeah, so I don't think everybody really came here for ECHL talk, although that was,
that was K-Wing.
It's fun for us, probably not fun for everybody watching. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had to talk about the game a little bit and our experience yesterday, but, in the meantime, over the weekend, Seth Jones dealt to the Florida Panthers along with a 4th-round pick coming Chicago's way, a conditional 2026 first-round pick, and Spencer Knight, who will make his debut in between the pipes for the Blackhawks this evening. Okay, Justin and I did an emergency pod, so I'll throw it over to you first, Lee, before we get into the nitty-gritty of it. Just, how do you feel? What do you think? You've had a couple of days to digest this now, a little over 30 hours or so. What are you feeling now?
Oh, man. I mean, maybe the best birthday present I've ever been given in my entire life. It's up there, it's easily top 5. I saw that a few of you were saying happy birthday to me in chat. I appreciate you guys. But Kyle Davidson got my birthday gift covered, so don't worry about it. I mean, dude, I texted the group chat, and I originally tweeted out that I said it on the show, and Tassos pointed out that my dumbass never said it on the show, and he's right because I didn't. But I texted these guys last Tuesday, 6 days ago. I said, Seth to Florida, 50% retained for Spencer Knight. Who says no? Kyle got it done for 25% and a first rounder on top of that. So I am like a couple of good moves away from being a full-time Kyle Davidson Glazer. He's got a lot of work to do. All right. I haven't forgot about the TJ Brody contract just yet. I just was looking at Laurent Brossoit not being on LTI. Thank you, Justin, showing the text from.
Yeah, I don't know if that was clear, but just a proof there, because I know people are going to be asking for proof.
Yeah, I did text it.
All right, LeBron. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, something about it, man. I said that day, I said, dude, I think that's going to go to Florida, 25% retained. I don't know what it was. I just woke up this morning and had Cheerios and no. But dude, this is a first move of many, hopefully over the next few months into this offseason. But I mean, I don't know how any Blackhawks fan cannot be super bullish about this. We've got our goalie for the future. We've got another first-round pick. We're only retaining $2.5 million, which, by the way, if you guys don't know, we have $38 million of cap space next year and over $85 million the year after that. We have a blank slate. The worst contract we had on our books is now officially gone. We got a stud goaltender. Absolute cinema.
Absolute cinema. Hell yeah, baby.
I really have. There's nothing I can say other than bravo, Kyle Davidson. Seth. I defended Seth a lot on the show. I feel like over the time that we did this, I've also been critical of him at times. Look, it was time. He wanted out. The contract was atrocious. He was never amazing for us. I know he 8 minutes and right-handed D and all that stuff was good. But, I mean, dude, I think that I know everybody on social media is saying that, like, Kyle Davidson fleeced. This is a win for the Blackhawks. It is. Don't get me wrong. It's a win for the Blackhawks. But I also think that this is going to be an awesome move for the Florida Panthers. I know, obviously, losing Spencer Knight is not ideal. But, I mean, Seth Jones on that blue line is going to be really good. He doesn't even have to be a first pairing guy for them. Like, he can play 20 minutes a night. He can play 19 minutes a night. So I just, like, he's not going to be relied on as much. I think he's going to fit in like a glove over there. If Matthew Tkachuk gets healthy for the playoffs and they use his LTIR space, watch out for those Florida Panthers, man.
It's rare for there to be like a Hawks move where it's like the discourse online, pretty much everybody agrees it was a good move. You'll always see a few outliers, people trying to be different. Doesn't matter what happens, you're always going to see a little bit of that. But like 99.9% of Hawks fans are absolutely thrilled with this move, and they should be. You're a wizard, Kyle. I think he's won people back over. Every time you start to doubt this man, that's what he does, man. He takes it personally and he makes a big move. This might be the biggest move of his career so far. One can make the argument. Because I mean, you could say drafting Bedard, but it's like that fell into his lap. I mean, you're obviously going to do that in terms of making trades, making moves. This is a legacy type of decision from him. And I think a true move that's going to accelerate this rebuild as well. I think, like you said, it's going to open up even more cap space to make moves happen, get more draft capital there. You can trade that pick for. I imagine that's what he's going to do. Probably. I imagine you're getting that pick for a potential return here. Maybe he's kind of continue buying here because like this was kind of, you could say it was selling with Jones, but it's like we also bought here, right? We got a potential franchise goaltender capital. We've accrued, this extra cap space to kind of help supplement this deal, get some help for Bedsy. We'll see. I'm curious to see what other domino effects happen as a result of this trade. I imagine there's a lot more on the docket. I imagine Donato is probably next. And could he get a first? I threw that out there. I keep saying second, but like now I'm thinking maybe he could get a first. I don't know.
If it's not, I almost don't want the deal to have. I don't want him to get like Loki. We can get into that. I do want to say one more point about this Jones situation. Seth Jones only gave Kyle Davidson 2 teams to go to. It was the Dallas Stars and the Florida Panthers. The Dallas Stars did not
cite your sources. According to Pat Boyle.
According to Pat Boyle, I heard this from like a lot of people. A lot of the beat reporters and Blackhawks insiders were saying this. So it wasn't just. I don't think it was just PB, unless other beat reporters were just.
That makes it even more impressive. You had basically one team to work with.
As Pat Boyle. But I mean, dude, that means that Kyle Davidson had his hands cuffed behind his back and a gun to his head, and he got Spencer Knight. Like, I mean, what a deal! What a deal! Seriously.
And Seth Jones, you see his first pictures of him in a Florida Panthers uni. He looks just as happy over there so far as he normally did with the Hawks. Why does he always look miserable, man? Like, you got what you wanted. You're on a cup contender here. I mean, if there should be no hard feelings from Seth here, man. Like, the Hawks didn't have to trade him. They did. And not only that, they put him in probably the best possible situation you could have asked for. So yeah. I think he should be plenty happy. So I think it's a move for both sides that should be a win-win. Yeah.
Let's talk about Jones to Florida just a little bit more. Because this is a team with expectations on winning the Stanley Cup. You have a couple of pending unrestricted free agents, including one of your, high-end right-shot defenseman in Aaron Ekblad, who's, potentially able to walk for nothing this summer. Same with Sam Bennett. If you're Florida, Seth Jones was never going to live up to that 9.5 tag. But at $7 million, the burden of expectations is probably going to be less so. You know what I mean? And Florida is always like they've needed somebody to run the second power play unit there for a little bit. And I think this is a great move for them. Like they're the Florida Panthers. Like I don't think Bill Zito would have made this move without doing like knowing that he was going to be able to get something that he wanted out of this too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other thing that I will say is immediately I was like, oh, well, they're not going to be able to re-sign Aaron Ekblad. Spencer Knight carries a cap hit of $4.5 million for both this season and next season.
Yeah.
So swapping, like, it's really not that much more money that they're taking on. And they, like, I think the situation with Ekblad is you're going to have to, like, they're going to give him a number and it'll be kind of a take it or leave it situation.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it might be 7. It might be the Jones like what they're paying Jones right now. It may be 7. It may be 7.5. It may be up to 8. I think Aaron Ekblad could get up to 8.5 on a 7-year deal, maybe even 9 on a 7-year deal at the free agent market. But I love this move for the Panthers too. I know a lot of people are clamoring about what they're going to do with their goaltending situation in the future. Bobrovsky's a UFA after next season. He's getting a lot older now. Florida's one of the few teams in the NHL that has like a goaltending department, and it's headed by Roberto Luongo, and there's a few other guys in there. And Florida's drafted a goalie, I think, every single draft for the last like 6 or 7 drafts. So they're getting, like, they give those guys 1 pick every year. You know what I mean? So I just think, and like a goalie is like something you can always go out and get too.
You can always figure it out with goaltending. The easiest position to just kind of solve right away. Yeah.
Yeah. And if there's one thing Florida Panthers have proven that they're capable of doing, it's like going out and acquiring talent that they didn't draft. So like, I think that the Jones thing, it makes the Ekblad, it takes so much pressure off the Florida Panthers for the Ekblad situation. Like, you don't have to just give him a ridiculous number just because, like, you need that guy that's going to be playing all those minutes and the right shot guy. Aaron Ekblad is the only other right shot defenseman on that team other than Seth Jones now. They're all left shots. But I just think that, like, the way they play, like, with Forsling and Ekblad and Mikkola, and they don't really like have like a true number 1 defenseman. They kind of trust all these guys to go out there and do a job. Kulikov too. Like, I think Jones being there now is like, as Tassos said, like they can give Ekblad the number, and if he's like no, they're going to be like, all right, walk, and then we'll find some other guy to bring in and pay less than you and be serviceable enough.
And also, yeah, you guys brought this up. It's like, I think we've even said this on the show. Like, we've had this discussion before. What would you actually value Seth Jones, right? Because obviously the 9.5 isn't it. I'm pretty sure we've even said 7 million before we've thrown that number out there, like on this show. So it's like suddenly you're getting Seth Jones for what he's worth, actually. So I think that helps too, from in terms of winning the fans over as well. Maybe a little less pressure from that standpoint. This is also South Florida here, so definitely a win now move for the Panthers, right? You don't make this move, you think there's not a good chance you could go back to back in these playoffs, and yeah, like they'll figure the goaltending situation out. So yeah,
I'm excited to see him in Florida, man. Honestly, and like I saw them hitting the ice for practice today. Their practice facility, I got a chance to see it last summer. It's beautiful. Like I love living in Chicago. Like honestly, we were in Kalamazoo yesterday, which is a great place. Great place. We went to One Well Brewery, which was like a really nice spot, really hip. The K-Wings game was really fun. But then you like drive into the city and you look at the skyline, you're like, man, that's incredible. Like that's why I live here. Like it's so nice. However, like being from South Florida, like I do get FOMO from like friends of mine that live there and people that I know that live down there, and I'm like, man, that also looks really nice too. Like I wouldn't mind just like hanging out on the beach, nice, slow, easy life, like showing up to the rink in flip-flops and shorts and
off the
a
golf
t-shirt
cart.
On the golf cart, yeah.
those country clubs down there, that's a perfect location for Mr. Seth to spend all that money.
But it's nice, man. Like, it's just a different mentality shift, too, a little bit. Like, here, and I know it's different for a hockey player, but, like, for the average person here, it's very, like, Chicago is a very like hustle and bustle city. You walk fast, you got to be doing things. You have to be on top of stuff. Like if you're not making moves, then other people are making moves and you're behind. And Florida's just not really like that. It's very
more
chill.
leisurely, more chill.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think he's going to enjoy it. I really see him turning into just a fantastic piece for the Florida Panthers. I don't know.
Is it bad? Like Panthers are one of my, yeah, I'd say probably secondary teams like Lee Grosman, but like, is it bad that I kind of want them to fail now? Because it'd just be really funny to see him like be like a first round exit, and then everybody could just blame Seth Jones. I don't know. That'd be kind of funny, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen. But I should wish the best for Seth, that I do. But like a part of me that is like, it'd be kind of funny if it just collapsed there.
I think there is incentive for us to cheer against them this year in the postseason. I saw this. I don't remember who said it. I don't know if it's complete, but I saw that if the Panthers win the cup this year, that the 2026 first round becomes a 2027. Is that true?
No.
And Tassos is shaking his head. No.
No, it's based off of the conditions on the pick are based off of the Matthew Tkachuk deal. The pick is most likely going to be a 2026 first rounder, from what I understand. But because when the Florida Panthers gave up their 2025 draft pick in the Matthew Tkachuk deal, this year's draft, it's top 10 protected. So if the Florida Panthers were to somehow lose every single hockey game between now and the rest of the season and end up with a top 10 pick, then their pick to Calgary would shift to next year, and then the Hawks pick would shift to 2027.
It's a 2026,
okay.
yeah, which
so
I think is better for us.
Yeah. So it's the opposite. We are cheering for Florida to not lose every single game for the rest of the year.
But they're not going to do that.
Yeah, like it's already set in stone. Yeah, they're a playoff team. Why else would they send them there?
All right, let's get to the Chicago side of things here. So Spencer Knight, we will get to see him in the Hawks colors this evening. I just kind of lucked out. I didn't really know when we said we'd live stream the game tonight that he'd be starting or what was going on there with that. If maybe he'd just be sitting on the bench and we'd be doing potential night talk for the whole 2.5 hours. But now we'll get to see him in action. Like, he's going to be kicking tonight. Lee, what do you like feeling about Knight, and more so the return for Chicago, obviously, but Knight is the key piece here of the return. Obviously the first round pick helps definitely, but it's Knight that everybody's looking at.
Yeah, I mean a stud goaltending prospect who has been, as you said, in that Florida system for a couple years now, learning under all those guys, playing behind Bobrovsky, who is probably the most professional of the professionals as far as professionals are concerned. Won World Juniors with USA, American kid, has had really good stats. Obviously, I know he's playing behind that Florida defense and that Florida team that plays two ways and has been, probably the best team the past couple years. But I mean, great numbers already in the NHL. I think this kid's going to be a stud for a very long time in this league. And so I'm just so bullish on him, and I'm excited to see him tonight. And I think the stream's going to be awesome. It's going to be a bunch of Spencer Knight glaze. So I think you guys have to come hang out for that tonight.
Yeah, he's a real professional over there. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing him tonight. Like I was wondering about that. I was thinking it'd be kind of fun if it was the Wednesday game that was Dubuque, considering we're doing the Midwest Coast Brewing live show. But for a goaltender, it's a lot easier to just jump in right away. It's not like you're adjusting to a new system or anything. Like, you're stopping the puck. So he has one morning skate in him, a warm up, and then he's ready to go. So it definitely provides more excitement for the game tonight too. I'm really glad we're live streaming it now, like you said. Let's, the Seth Jones-less era started with a W. Now let's start with the Spencer Knight era with a W as well. I think that'd be perfect, right? Haven't seen many consecutive Hawks wins this year, so just looking forward to seeing him, get some good goaltending here, and this hopefully can be our guy, and that would be just a big boost for all of us, I think, for this rebuild as well. Yeah.
So a couple of things here. Like, I'm really high on Spencer Knight. I think I've been high on him since his draft season. I think he's a tremendous goalie. Was really, really good at Boston College when he was there. I think he was only there one season though. And I just want people to temper expectations to the point of, like, he's a 23-year-old goalie.
Still developing.
Like, he's still developing. And at this stage and where the Hawks are right now, he's not going to win them games by himself.
He's going from a Panthers defense to Blackhawks defense as well.
Yeah, like, he's not going to be able to win them games alone. Like, this is a piece amongst maybe a dozen pieces that need to be brought in and shifted around to actually make it so Spencer Knight has a chance to blossom. You guys get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, he's not
Yeah.
going to come in here, maybe he pitches a shutout tonight and, rubs it in my face. But like, it's just unfair of him to, like, it's unfair to put those expectations on him. It's almost what you did with Seth Jones. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this guy is going to be, it's like, no, like, this is a young kid who, if all things hit and the team around him becomes a contender, can be the guy that leads them to that destination of being a contender, right?
I think for Spencer Knight, though, this is exactly what you want. You want to be the guy. You want to be put in that position because in Florida, he hasn't, right? He's been secondary to Bobrovsky. He hasn't really had a true chance to shine and take the mantle. He's going to have every opportunity to do that here. And yeah, right now, the roster maybe isn't there to supplement him. But like, I think with this decor that Kyle Davidson has been building, which is probably, I'd say, the brightest spot in our prospect pool now and all that, like, I think when everybody does arrive, it does pan out. Like, he's going to have that great defense in front of him and he's going to have every opportunity to shine here. So, no, I think maybe right now it's not the case, but I think it's going to be if things continue on this track for sure.
The reason why I'm so pumped about it is just like when you're looking at this Blackhawks team, and I'm not talking about the team this year, I'm talking about like the team of real Blackhawks, as we say on this show all the time, the team that you're going to be trying to contend and win Stanley Cups with down the road. You need certain things, right? You need a first line center. You need an entire first line. You need a second line center. You need a top pairing defenseman. You need, this, and this. We needed a goaltender. We needed our goaltender for the future. And I think Spencer Knight is that. We've got our goaltending checked. We've got our 1C checked. We've got whatever Vlasic is going to be, either, a top two or if he's going to be your third defenseman, whatever it is. We're just starting slowly but surely starting to check these things off the list. And so that's just why I'm so pumped about Spencer Knight.
Mm-hmm. It's more of a, I mean, I shouldn't say sure thing. Nothing's a sure thing, but like you feel much more confident in Spencer Knight than you do with one of Comesso or Guyon panning out. Yeah.
Yep.
I think that move is very telling from that standpoint too. Like this is a move they haven't made for years for a reason, but I think now it's like they saw it. It's like, okay, maybe it's time to address the situation here, which again, with goaltending is much easier to do.
I just think it puts less pressure on the other goalies to, like, you have to hit on them. And now, like, if Guyon, if Komet, like, if those guys hit, then you have an abundance of riches in a position.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you'd rather have two, if not three, really good goalies in your system than barely one.
Mm-hmm. You always want to have a couple, right? You don't want to be relying on one guy because if he goes out of an injury or something, then you're kind of screwed. So it's always good to have two good goalies, at least a tandem or somebody on the wings there. And let's not rule out Soda here too. I think, we could already have him as well as he is established as our guy. So that could be our tandem right there, Soda Knight. That'd be a hell of a, that could be, I like the potential of that. And it feels like Peter's probably all but gone here. We have three goalies for now, but I can't imagine we'll see that March 7th. I have to think Peter Mrazek, they'll find a way to move on from him. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we want to do a trade deadline talk now?
Well, yeah, and that's probably a good segue. Like, Peter Mrazek has to be gone off this roster now, correct?
You would have to think logically it makes sense just how they make that work. Because I mean, I'm not really sure how much GMs are interested in 2025 Peter Mrazek. So you might have to waive him or find another way. How they go about that would be interesting.
Yeah, if we move Peter Mrazek, I mean, Blackhawks fans need to not be expecting a return like we just got with this Jones thing, because we don't have any more retention spots left. So we won't be able to retain. His cap hit is 4.25 for the rest of this season and next year. So if a team trades for him, we're talking about like a 7th round pick. I feel like, if we're able to trade him.
Yeah, and I think for a contender, you're not even getting him to be like your backup. Like he's probably your third goalie for a contender, right? So not a terrible option from that standpoint. I mean, when he's on, he could be strong. He's a guy of experience. Not a bad guy to have in the wings, but man, when he's off, he's really off. So, and we've seen that this season, just the inconsistency. He's not really somebody you want to rely on in big time games. Yeah.
Is there a chance maybe that we could see him put on waivers?
Well, that's what I was thinking because I'm just not really sure if there's a market for him. But like, is anybody gonna claim him? That's the question. If nobody's trading, but the contract it makes it a little trickier. Yeah, who really wants to take that on for Peter Mrazek?
I mean, we could maybe get like that guy future considerations for him, but if he's not available, it's probably it could be a waiver situation.
Unfortunately, I
I mean,
think
scratch tonight, so.
Yeah, that is telling. Like he definitely is not man out in practice, so maybe there's something brewing there. I think KD was supposed to appear on some sort of show today as well and didn't. So tells me he's probably working the phones right now, either from Mrazek or something else.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Did he not go
Yeah,
He
on?
he
didn't
didn't. He
he
bailed
didn't
on
go on
Morning.
Morning Cup. Yeah, so like yeah, I think we'll see more moves maybe even today. We'll see. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
We do actually have a couple of Kyle Davidson clips here if we want to just hear them sort of do the wrap on the talk of Seth Jones and Spencer Knight. I was going to get a guest today from South Florida, but I figured we'd wait until Wednesday, number one, because we're all on Zoom, and number two, like, they can get a look at him, practice. I don't know if they play. They probably play
They do
tomorrow.
play today. Yeah, no, Seth
Oh, they
Jones'
play
first
today.
game is a Panther. Yeah, I think it's at 6 o'clock and ours at 7:30. So we'll have some Seth Jones talk, I'm sure, on the live show today as well.
Oh, they play the Lightning tonight too. That's a juicy one.
Ooh, Battle of Florida. There you go.
That's a good way to get into it.
Yeah,
Okay,
first-
let's hear Kyle Davidson on the Jones trade. Clip one, please.
The art of this deal. How did it get done tonight?
Yeah, it was. It's a tough deal to make, right? When you're moving, not only a great player like Seth, but a big contract in the NHL is something that's difficult to do. But and you want to make sure you're accomplishing things on your end, and we certainly felt we did that today with acquiring Spencer in a first-round pick. And so overall, no trade's easy, but I think we landed in a great spot for the organization.
Yeah, and Seth came out with some comments a couple days ago that were a little bit uncomfortable, I think, for everybody here. Was that something that accelerated this deal a little bit, or did you feel that maybe we should do this a little bit quicker?
I think, first of all, the deadline, deadline spur action, and so we were approaching one of those. But, I would assume, and, I felt a little bit more urgency, I would say, once that became public. You don't want to let that linger and become too much of a discussion point, even though it did to some extent. And so, I would be lying if I said that it didn't push things along a little quicker.
Seth said he wanted to go to a contender. Obviously, most contenders are up or near the cap threshold. How challenging was it to move Seth's 9.5 AAV for 5 years remaining on that deal and only retaining $2.5 million of it per?
Yeah, that's part of the puzzle you're always working with, the other GM with, and navigating their own cap, what we do and don't want to retain moving forward, knowing that that's going to be money that's on our books for quite some time. And so those are all considerations that go into making a deal like this. The fact that Spencer had a contract that could alleviate some of the cap pressure on Florida, and it allowed us to keep a little less, I think, on Seth.
We'll take it.
So I like that last point that he makes too about the contract stuff. Not only the fact that it made it easier for the Panthers to take on Seth Jones by bringing back Spencer Knight and his 4.5 cap hit, but for me, it's the fact that they didn't have to retain 50% on the Seth Jones deal. And the way I explained to it with Justin on the emergency pod on Sunday or Saturday was that, Spencer Knight has this year and next on. So how many years? It's 5 years after this one, right? Of
2030. Yep.
Till 2030. So 5 seasons after this. So between now, look, I'm not saying that Spencer Knight is a $7 million goalie right now,
But he might be by the time the contract's up.
Yes, but then it becomes trickier because you're still carrying the 2.5 from Seth. But the way I was trying to explain it was like you almost take that $2.5 million and you say, hey, we're spending this on our goaltending. You know what I mean? Like, this is what it is for so right now with Spencer Knight in tow and Arvid Soderblom makes, a contract that like barely $1 million, not even $1 million, I'd imagine. So, you just kind of wash that out. That's barely even a contract against your cap. But then you're saying, okay, Spencer Knight plus Arvid Soderblom plus the 2.5 from Seth Jones, you're essentially paying $7 million for two pretty good goalies, right? Which is really, really good when you consider, the Rangers are paying Igor Shesterkin $12 million and the price for things is just going up and up and up. And, I don't know. And Spencer Knight's going to be an RFA after next season too. what that next contract looks like will also sort of determine how this deal ends up shaking out, like the money, if it really ended up being worth it. Like if you sign Spencer Knight to like an 8x8, even then, if you sign him to an 8x8, you have another goalie, like you re-sign Soderblom to like a 3-year, $4-year $1 million a year contract, $1.5 maybe. You're really only spending $11 million on your goal. Like that's about the average with the cap going up, and like it's a good deal, man. Like it really is a good deal that they only had to do it at 25%.
Yeah, and some teams are putting all that money into one goaltender, not a tandem, right? So no, I think it's fair from the Hawks' perspective. Works out. So and yeah, no, definitely excited to see him, get a chance to prove himself finally. I think and he's gonna wear number 30 as well. A few Hawks legends have worn that number, so that should be a good sign for him, hopefully.
I think that even if like Soderblom's contract is bigger than a 1 or a 1.5 mil, and you end up paying, north of 12 for these guys, it's okay, since how much the cap's going up. All these retentions, we're paying like over $9 million worth of just retention right now. That's all coming off the books after this season. Mrazek's hopefully going to get moved in the next couple days. Brossoit, honestly, we should probably just buy him out, honestly. Like
I don't think we have to worry about Brossoit. I don't think he exists, so I think we're checked out.
No, but he's not even on LTIR. He's on IR, so we're still paying him $3.3 million for the next couple years, or for this year and next year. But I think once you buy him out, you buy hopefully TJ Brody out. I mean, we're talking about so much cap space that like it's with how much the cap's going up, paying your goaltenders 12 mil, maybe a little more than that, is perfectly fine with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, but you see, yeah, from that perspective too, like this does mean you would think that mean Brossoit's out too, right? We'll just never see him play a game at the Hawks because I just don't think we really don't need him at this point, right?
No.
I mean, I think we got our guys right here. So,
Yep.
And yeah, Sorensen did say in practice today that the 3 goalie situation is day to day, quite literally. So I have to think, yeah, we'll see something from that pretty soon.
All right, do we want to hear the clip on Davidson on Spencer Knight, his new goaltender?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Acquire former 2019 first-round pick Spencer Knight. He's had an interesting pro career to start things off. What are you getting in Spencer Knight?
I think we're getting a really exciting young talent, very technically sound, a winner at all levels. We loved him in the draft. And just has had great success at every place he's been, whether that's in junior at the U.S. program, college at Boston College, and then in the AHL and NHL. He's someone that's met every challenge he's faced and has seemingly thrived at every level. And so, we're really excited about getting a 23-year-old goalie that is just growing in his game, his career, and who has an upside that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of said it. Huge upside with Spencer Knight too. Like, there's not a goaltender that was picked that high. You know what I mean? And he was the highest goalie picked in the draft since Jack Campbell. I don't know. Did Askarov get picked higher than him?
No, I think he was picked high, but not that high. It did feel like a response move to KD. Like you saw the Sharks get Askarov and like, watch this. And his stats have been quietly better, but he's also played behind the Panthers. So we'll see if that translates right away. Probably not, but I think he has a Askarov-like potential.
Yeah, I think he is just as high of a potential as Askarov. Like, people forget about Knight because he spent the entirety of last season in the American Hockey League with Charlotte. He was in the player assistance program because he was dealing with OCD and issues related to that. But this is a guy that this was the guy. Like, this was the best goaltending prospect you had seen in years and almost a decade. And honestly, like, Jack Campbell was a really good prospect, but the draft continues to get so much more refined. You know what I mean? Like, very rarely now, like, it's not really like the Nail Yakupov days where you could, like, if you draft a kid first overall, like, he's going to be pretty good. Like, he's going to be pretty darn good. And very rarely now do even you pick like a top 10, a top 15 kid now and they don't end up being pretty close to what you think that they're going to be, just because scouting is getting better and like you're getting a firmer grasp on what these kids are, you know what I mean, at a younger age. So I think the world of Spencer Knight. I like, this is such a home run. I had him on my team depth chart for next season. I thought they were just gonna like have to trade picks and maybe, you know, other players to sort of get somebody like that. But, you know, like,
Yeah, do y'all know somebody? Like, y'all both seem to see this trade coming. I'll admit I didn't.
I thought it was like, Lee was the one that kind of put it in my head a little bit. I don't know where you heard it first, but
So I just saw, like, a little over a week ago, I just saw some rumblings about the Panthers I don't know if it was the Panthers were interested in Jones or the Panthers were interested in just a defenseman in general. But then I was like, okay. And then like 2 weeks ago, I think I heard Elliot Friedman talk about maybe the Panthers are in a situation where they start thinking of Spencer Knight as an asset rather than like a future player. So I kind of just combined those, and I was like, I would love Spencer Knight and I would love to trade Seth Jones. So I just kind of combined those, and I would have done it for 50%, to be honest. With where the cap's going, I would have retained 50% of Jones if it meant getting Spencer Knight. So the fact that we were able to do it for 25% and get a first round pick for it, I'm
So Askarov was actually picked higher than Spencer Knight.
Oh, well, I was wrong. Yeah.
Askarov was picked 11th. Knight went 13th. So
They're close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bottom line's pretty similar potentials from both of them. I think he could be our guy 1,000%. Every level he's like Katie said, every level he's been at, he's excelled. I remember watching with that U.S. World Junior team, like, holy shit, this guy's good. And he's been great, you know, AHL, NHL. He's had a much better season this year. Like, I think people started to write him off. I think this year he's kind of, you know, he's got the ears perked up again, just showing people, you know, exactly what he can do. And he's done that in a limited role. And now he's going to get every chance, hopefully, the rest of this year to be a starter or at least a tandem guy with Soda. So,
I can't hear him.
Evan in chat said rare Justin misinformation.
oh yeah, extremely rare, right? You know, when do I ever get anything wrong in the show? That never happens.
Never.
I'm Mr. Consistency, Mr. Accurate guy. Just the you know, the one of the best insiders of all time over here.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all do. I mean, yeah, but you know, anyway.
I don't get anything wrong on this show. Speak for yourself, brother.
Yeah, sure. The professor over there.
Okay, let's get into. So, I mean, there was a hockey game played on Saturday. They did play. We did the post game show afterward. They trounced the Ducks 6-3 the final. And it just, like, the only point I wanted to really, like, I don't want to talk about the game really, because we have a game tonight we got to dig into before we hit a break here. But, you know, it just, to me, the vibe, like, it just seemed like a collective weight was lifted off the shoulders of the hockey team. Like,
it did feel like that, right?
A brand new group.
You did see a bit of a vibe shift, much needed. I mean, players will deny it, but like, you can't tell me that Jones, you know, his sentiment, you know, that just that type of talk wasn't a distraction in the room. And it just feels like, yeah, maybe that weight lifted some weights off of these guys' shoulders. And they played loose. Like, here's the thing. It's a next man up mentality now, especially in that decor. Like, look at the defense last game. Every single young defender, even the vets, stepped up and contributed. So, you know, I think it's a great opportunity for these prospects to come in. That's a big spot that opens up in this lineup. Who's going to take it? Who's going to be our one defenseman, right? You think probably Alex Vlasic. But point is, you know, that's a lot of ice time. Jones was, you know, spending half the games out there a lot of times. That's a lot of ice time that somebody's got to take, right? So I think it's a good opportunity for the young defenseman in this team to really run with. And we just called up Louis Crevier as well from Rockford. It probably shouldn't have been sent down to begin with. So, you know, more young defensemen. I think that's what we want to see. We want to see him fill in the rest of the season and see what we got here. So I think for the future of this team, it's exciting as well. Yeah.
We've been saying on the show, like, for the past like 2 months, it feels like you get some of these veterans out of here, and now you create more time for these young players to be playing on the NHL team, and that's what we all wanted to see. And I think it's gonna be good for their development. Like, you're talking about less scratches for Del Mastro and Allen, you know, Kaiser, Crevier, all those guys getting more looks. It's what we want. It's what we want for the rest of the year, because like, TJ Brody's not, fingers crossed, TJ Brody's not playing in a Blackhawk sweater next year. So more youth, please.
Yeah, no, amen to that, brother, for sure.
So it actually looks like TJ Brody will be on the outside looking in tonight. You got Vlasic paired with Crevier, Del Mastro paired with Murphy, and Wyatt Kaiser paired with Alec Martinez. So kind of a good looking decor here. I don't hate this really a lot.
Yeah, honestly, we're worried how it's going to look without Seth Jones. I know it was one game, but it looked perfectly fine without Seth Jones on Saturday. And it's like, I think we got to put a little more faith in these young kids, man. Every time they're in there, they're playing pretty well. It's some of those unks like Brody and Martinez who are sucking. So, once we get them out of here, all of a sudden, things are starting to come together here. I'm looking forward to seeing Kevin and Artie as well at some point. I think Korchinski gets some looks up here, rest of this year, hopefully at some point. So, I think there's just more to look forward to here on the horizon. Renzel is too, another guy when his college season's up. He probably plays here. So, a lot to be excited about for the Hawks defense. And when all these guys come together, and then Spencer Knight back there, KD's plan was to build from the back end out, and we're definitely seeing that pan out here. And then I think the priority in this offseason shifts to help out your boy.
I have one more point. So do you guys have anything you guys want to talk about for this game tonight? Because I did have one more point in the trade.
Switched up. Yeah, they did talk. They did switch up the lines a little bit. They got Nazar back up there, Bedsy. Stick with it, okay? Don't just do it for one game, a couple periods. Like, stick with it. Just leave them up there, please. They've played well together. Slaggert's up there with them too. You got Athanasiou, Doc Bertuzzi, and then everything else is pretty much the same. You already brought the decors. So, but yeah, that's my main point. I think I want to see Bedsy snap out of this skid here, and hopefully Nazar can help him out there. Keep them together. That's my point.
I'm excited to watch future Blackhawk Quentin Byfield tonight. I think that's a guy that we should be. I don't know. I've just been on since I've been on. I was on Twitter so much last night and this morning before the show, and I'm just seeing all these, Blackhawks folks tweet out trade proposals and impossible guys they'd want to see brought in. Names like Byfield and JJ Peterka.
Yeah, I've seen him a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, being thrown around a lot. I don't know what deals would look like for those to happen. Some of the proposals I saw were like 3-team deals where it's like we're sending Donato in a first to one team, and then LA's getting a player, and then we're getting by. Look, I would love something like that. I think Quentin Byfield would be like a perfect fit for basically everything that this Blackhawks team needs. I don't really have any other notes about LA tonight. I mean,
LA. Yeah, power forward with size. That is something we're missing here. And it's like, if you don't want to draft Porter Martone, you want to get Misa. I think that would make a lot of sense. Get somebody like that. I've seen Peterka's name thrown out there a lot too. You just got that first there from Florida. I like that Donato and whatever else, other sweeteners you got to throw in. That might be enough right there. So I'm sure KD's at least working the phones and thinking about it. Let's keep buying here. We got a guy in the goaltending. Let's add somebody up there in the top 6 to play with Bedsy.
If I'm Kyle Davidson, I'm doing anything I can to get Quentin Byfield from the Los Angeles Kings.
Yeah, I think he needs a change of scenery too. It's like I look at Lafreniere and Rangers is another example. Like guys who just seem to be kind of they need more looks there. Because I just think his ceiling is still so high. Remember, he was a guy people pegged to break out this year. It just hasn't really happened. So I think you throw him up here with the Hawks first line at Bedsy, like that could be a hell of a duo right there. Nazar as well. I'd love to see them play together.
And as far we haven't really talked about it much, but I think we should what's going to happen with Donato before the 7th. I don't know where you guys stand with him, but my perspective is like I don't want to move. Like I'd rather re-sign him if you're just going to move him for draft capital. Like I don't want draft capital.
Establish young players.
Yeah, like get a young player, and if not, keep him and try to sign him to a decent deal for a few years.
Yeah, if it's not a first round pick, if it's like a second or third, whatever, like just get an established young player back. And again, if you have to package like that first we just got to make that happen, I think that would be a trade that's worth it for us in the long term. Because right now, Donato provides a lot of value for this team that guys, a lot of unks don't. But again, I think we've said it before, and I've said it before. It's like I think this is probably the best hockey he's going to play in his career. Like he has a lot of incentives to play good hockey right now, with his contract up and all that to get a bag. So, not saying he's going to fall off after that, but we've rewarded these guys with contracts, guys like Dickinson and Mrazek and Foligno, and it's like and then how's that kind of panned out? So, I know he's a great player, and if he wants to be here, fine. But if you can get that type of return, I think you jump all over that for KD.
All right. Anything else? Get Dylan Cousins too. He better be in the mix for somebody like that. Don't let him go to Detroit or one of these other teams. Like, just see if you can
Trevor
get it.
Zegras.
Tassos, what do you? We get offered a second round pick for Ryan Donato. What does Tassos say?
Gone later.
Really? Okay.
Gone.
All right.
Gone.
Just the second round pick doesn't do it for me. We've got 5 second round picks in this year's draft and next year's draft combined.
Gone. He's never gonna. Good. Trade them.
Yeah, I know, but I think that you can get more for Ryan Donato than you can for a second round pick.
Apparently not. If that's the offer, then that's the offer.
And you could trade, yeah. I mean, you could trade that pick too. We have so many like second, third round type of picks. So you could add a player in there. Then that could be a pretty solid return for us. Yeah.
Would the Maple Leafs first round pick and let's say like 2 second rounders to Buffalo get it done for Dylan Cousins?
I don't think they want. I think they're probably in a similar boat with us, where they don't want futures. They don't want draft picks. They want like players.
But then it's up to them to use those picks to then trade for more NHL players.
Yeah, I guess. But I don't know if they are going to want to do that. I know I've said a million times that like this should be our last draft. Like, I'm so serious. Like, every single draft after, like, the next 3 drafts, I'd be okay if we had 0 picks for the next 3 drafts. Like, trade them all for talent right now. You've drafted the pieces. Hopefully after this draft, I would assume you've picked in the first round. It will be after this draft. It'll be like 10 times in the past 4 years. I would hope that you believe you have your pieces going forward. Use all those as trade chips for the next couple years and just bring in talent. I do not care about the second round of next year's draft. I just don't.
Yeah.
We've been there, down that the last few years. So, and I think this trade here is it's going to be a domino effect. I think that's a sign that's KD's like, okay, well, it's time to put the foot in the accelerator here. We've been patient. We've accrued all these players. We're going to do in this draft as well. That's 4 drafts under KD. We're going to, boost up his prospect pool. How much more do you need here? Like, I think we have such a large quantity of players here. So,
dude,
we have enough pieces where they should be able to fill in the pieces here. And for those who don't, then we make trades to, kind of get those last remaining slots filled in. Yeah.
I see that people in chat are like hyping up the 2026 draft class.
Oh
guys,
dude, I don't fucking care about
4 years, guys. What are we doing? Like,
yeah, let's just get stuck in potential
around.
rebuild. That works out great.
Because what happens is you draft a player from 2026, unless it's like a top 3 pick, you're probably not seeing them till 2027, 2028, maybe even 2029 for the later picks in 2026. So it's like, what are we talking about? Like, we need a young star for 2028. Get good now. What are we doing? We have so much cap space. Make the moves now.
I'm sick of this loser talk, man. I've had enough of it. Like, KD said he had a 5-year plan. Like, this is we're entering year 4 here. Like, I think that's around the time to start accelerating this thing. No more passivity. Time to be aggressive. We have all this large prospect pool, man. It's up there. It's going to be probably best of the league after this draft. It's like, I don't want to hear any of that anymore, man. Like, let's start winning. Like, come on. Enough of this loser talk. Look at the Ducks, man. Like, look, that's what happens. You get stuck in these perpetual rebuilds. Look at the Sabres. Like, I don't know. I don't want to hear that.
Thomas, we're not getting Gavin McKenna. Sorry.
McKenna's not happening.
If 2026 is such a loaded draft class, good. Because then you trade those picks, you should be getting better return for them. Trade them. Stop waiting around for this. Stop. We've done our draft. We did our rebuild. Let's win.
Can I bring up a name to you too?
Ditto.
Yeah.
Jordan Kyrou.
Yeah. I think he's a kind of similar like archetype to a lot of the players we've been drafting, but that's a proven talented NHLer that like, yeah, if as long as you're not giving up like, something crazy like a Frank Nazar, I'd say go ahead and test.
I'm talking just picks.
Yeah. Yes. Sure. Yes. I'm all for trading picks at this point. As long as it's not the 2025 NHL draft, trade picks. I don't care.
26 years old. He'll be 27 in May.
Young.
I think that could be a really good move too. All right.
My audio went up for a second here. What player are we talking about here?
Jordan Kyrou.
Jordan Kyrou. I've seen his name in talk, so that'd be a nice piece to add here for sure if we can make that work.
We'll see. Kyle Davidson will be very, very busy, not just as a seller, but hopefully as a potential buyer here before Friday's deadline.
Yep. Makes his offseason a little easier too if he gets some of that done now. Yeah, takes a little bit of the pressure off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to hit a quick break and we will come back with NHL Hour, some other moves made this weekend, not just the Seth Jones move, but a couple others as well. And it is a big, big week around the National Hockey League. So stick around on the other side. We'll be back with more Chicago Hockey Radio. It's the NHL Hour, Chicago Hockey Radio. Justin Lynch, Lee Grossman, Tassos Kirkos, Raven Gasser producing today. As always, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and leave a 5-star rating and review. RSVP link to Midwest Coast Brewing is in the description of this episode too, just in case, you know, maybe your week wasn't decided, maybe you didn't know what your work situation was, if friends could come, if you could make it. The RSVP link is still in the description of this episode and every episode up until Wednesday night, so we'd love to see you all there. It is going to be a blast. All right, it's the NHL Hour, so we're going to stray away from the Hawks conversation. Big week, it's trade deadline week, and I actually wanted to bring up this point to you guys a little bit first before we get into the teams and the trades and the players and all that. It seems to me that the play of hockey during trade deadline week is a little weird. Like the actual hockey itself is a little bit, it's loose, you know, some guys, you know, whose names are out there and some teams who are, you know, poised to maybe move some big pieces and, you know, make some big changes. It just feels like sometimes that the play itself is a little bit different, right?
I think it's better or worse.
Worse.
I was gonna say, 'cause I feel like some guys' names who are in talks tend to suddenly step up when their name is in the rumor mill. So a lot of times I feel like the play actually is better. But for some teams, they're kind of in awkward situations. Maybe you could argue it's a bit of a distraction, and for them, it's worse. Yeah.
No.
I think it's probably a mixed bag, honestly.
Yeah, it depends on the team.
Because there definitely is truth to what Tassos is saying. But I think it's more of an individual thing for how are, you know, what situations are guys in individually, less so than the teams, honestly.
Yeah, I would second that.
So there were a couple of trades on the weekend. There was, first it was the Ryan Lindgren trade Monday morning. Ryan Lindgren goes to Colorado along with somebody else, I think, or something else, for Juuso Parssinen, Calvin DeHaan, and a second-round pick. Kind of an interesting trade here a little bit because Ryan Lindgren hasn't had the best season in New York, and you know, the Rangers go out, they acquire JT Miller. It kind of looks like, hey, we're still all in. This is still a team that we believe can compete for the Stanley Cup, make the playoffs, compete for the Cup. You know, they believe in the core, and then they make a move which hints towards selling. They also kept Riley Smith out of the lineup yesterday for what is believed to be trade-related purposes. I don't know. I thought this was, and it's a bit of a puzzling move for Colorado too. Ryan Lindgren has had some good seasons, so maybe they believe that they can get more out of him.
Yeah, this year's had a rough one.
Yeah, this year has been really, really rough for the guys. So I don't know how you guys feel about this one, if it's just another move to you guys or what you really feel about this.
Yeah, Jimmy Vesey was the other guy who was sent to Colorado.
Vesey.
So, I mean, he hasn't really done much of anything either. So, I remember the hype around that guy when he first entered the league because he won the Hobie Baker in 2016. I remember the Hawks were one of the teams that was kind of maybe potentially in them, and the Rangers ended up going to the Rangers and obviously back to the Rangers, but hasn't really ever panned out to be that player. But no, in terms of, you know, the main piece of his trade, Lindgren, probably makes sense for him. Probably good for him to have a change of scenery. I think Colorado, just another piece in that decor. Definitely much more. I'd rather have, you know, Ryan Lindgren has had a tough season as your maybe 5, 6 defenseman, the third pair, versus Calvin DeHaan, who's just a moving traffic cone out there. We've seen that obviously during his time at the Blackhawks. So no, I think it makes more sense probably for them. I mean, although you do get those conditional picks in there for the Rangers, so that probably maybe boosts it up a bit. Parsonen's kind of a quietly good, nasty kind of bottom 6 guy. So, I mean, I think for both teams, it probably makes sense. But for the Rangers, yeah, I'd be curious to see how they follow that up. I mean, I know they're kind of still in the hunt. Obviously, got JT Miller there has been a good fit, but I don't think any of us are really sold on that team. And the fact that they're trading one of their more, you know, coveted defensemen the last few years probably maybe that's a sign that you know, it might be time to go another direction.
I feel like the pulse I've gotten from the New York Ranger fan base, as delusional as they are sometimes, I feel like what I've seen from them is that they don't believe that they're going to win a Stanley Cup this year, which I think is completely reasonable. I also put myself in that boat of even if they make the playoffs, I don't think they have a shot at this thing. And so maybe their front office feels the same way. And so this move is kind of like yeah, we're kind of getting something back, but it is sort of like selling guys and trying to get some draft capital a little bit there. I think the move makes more sense for Colorado, just in the sense that I think they feel as though they can turn Ryan Lindgren into like a legit D-man and like to like work really well in that D-core. That left side is pretty shored up now in Colorado. So I think that makes more sense for if you're like trying to compete and like win currently. Whereas the Rangers, I don't know. I could see the Rangers selling a little bit more, honestly, before the 7th, because I don't know how you can look at. I know you have to have confidence in your guys, but I don't know how you can look at that roster and like see how they perform this year and how they like face adversity and coming up short last year. Like, I don't know how you can look at this roster and be like, yeah, they've got what it takes this year. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, for Colorado's perspective, the decor looks a lot better. Lindgren versus DeHaan. I mean, you got Taves, Makar, obviously, Gerard, Collington, and Lindgren, Malinsky. Like, that's like, you got like 4 really solid defensemen there.
Yeah.
A decent third pair. Like, that'll work. That'll absolutely work for you. But yeah, for the Rangers, I mean, maybe it's the sign of a retool. Not maybe not necessarily, going a completely another direction, but a retool will change the guard a little bit. We've already seen it, a little bit. So I imagine there's more moves in the horizon for them. Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. To be very blunt with you guys, I think the Rangers are cooked. Like, I think.
Oh yeah.
Like, not just this season. I think
for the future.
Like, I think they botched this entire thing that they had going on here.
Really?
Absolutely.
Like last year was their last shot.
Yeah, and you didn't even really know it at the time, and I just like they've botched this whole thing. And if I were them, honestly, really, really, truly, I'd scrap it all and start over. Like
that was a long rebuild to get back to to accomplish nothing and then go right back
really,
into
though. It wasn't really a long rebuild.
Yeah, they did like the retool thing. They kind of did like the Washington Capitals thing. They were like during the Capo Caco Jack Hughes draft, it kind of seemed like they were towards like the full rebuild thing.
Mm.
Oh,
but then I don't know. They like got Panarin. They got some of these guys. Can you hear me?
Oh no, yeah, you cut out for a second.
Yeah, and then the 2020 draft lottery, they got Lafreniere for like the worst odds too, so that kind of accelerated as well. So yeah, you're right. They never really entered a full-fledged
rebuild. They signed Panarin. They got Fox.
Yeah, but it was a lot of mediocre
Panarin,
retooling to get to this. Like you would have thought they would have, accomplished something here, but always one step behind the playoffs. And I mean, I look at this roster here. It's like, yeah, it does kind of feel like they're screwed. I mean, the top 6 hasn't really been it this year. I'm like, there's like nothing here in the bottom 6, and the decor. I mean, it's kind of been exposed to be frauds there from that front. So, and like, I don't think they have much of a prospect pool going at the moment. Really, not much draft capital. So it's not like they really have much to fall back on here, because they kind of sacrificed it all for this current core.
And it's not even like Tassos' point. It's not even just that like you might not believe in their top 6. They're also aging. Mm-hmm. Like outside of Lafreniere, those guys are all on the older side of things, like past 30 years old. So Tassos might be cooking here. Like they might be absolutely fried.
I feel like you've thrown all your hopes behind Igor Shesterkin when he's not on. Like you're absolutely, you got nothing going. I mean,
yes. So Tassos, you say they're cooked and they should scrap this thing. What do you salvage? What do you keep? And then what do you get rid of?
Igor Shesterkin. And that's it. Igor Shesterkin and
he's
Adam
the only
Fox.
Safe guy.
And Adam Fox.
I know. I know Fox maybe exposed himself for that 4 Nations a little bit.
Look, I still think Fox is a high-end defenseman in the NHL. Like I would take him on my team any day of the week.
Yeah.
And if you're New York, like the Rangers are always going to be relevant. They're always going to be a premier franchise in the NHL. But like Fox is like, he's from there. He's like a Jewish like New York kid. You know what I mean? Like I'm almost surprised he's not the captain there. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't really make sense to me how they haven't done that. Like I thought it was puzzling when they made Trouba the captain.
Yeah, that never made sense to me. I never understood that. Now he's gone. So,
but yeah. I would, those are the 2 pieces. I like K-Andre Miller a lot. I think he gets a lot of slander for no reason. And you look at the team and you're like, okay, well, maybe the disappointing play sometimes of K-Andre Miller is mostly because of the disappointing team around him. But like Artemi Panarin's how old? Like
33, 34, I think.
Yeah, he's still playing good hockey, but even this year you could see maybe he's starting to decline a little bit.
But
and
trade him now
once you get, because once you hit that 35 age, it's like it could happen at any time.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Trade him now.
33 years old.
While he
Trade him
still
now
has value.
While he
Yeah.
still has value.
Mhm.
I would do anything to ship Mika Zibanejad out of town. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to take him, but, you know, I think of a team maybe like the Ottawa Senators where he played beforehand. You know, I would do anything possible to ship Mika Zibanejad out of town. You know, Trocheck and Miller, you're probably going to hang on to through a rebuild, even though,
Yeah, they're good buddies.
yeah, they're good buddies. They like playing in New York. You just got JT Miller, but
Well, what do you do with Lafreniere?
trade him.
Yeah, because I mean, it just looks like now he's getting those opportunities that he wasn't before in that top 6 there, and it's still not happening. It's still kind of
he's not that
fizzling out.
guy.
Yeah,
So what are you, when you say you want to ship these guys out, trade these guys, should they be trying to get draft capital, or are you looking for young players, kind of like how the Blackhawks are, like looking for young NHL ready players? How do they go there?
well, they retooled before that didn't pan out, so you probably have to rebuild. But like, you have nothing to start off from here.
It
So that's gonna make it
depends
tricky.
on. See, here's the thing: is like the thing about the Dylan Cousins situation that is so mind-boggling to me is like, wouldn't you rather just keep Dylan Cousins? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a young center in the National Hockey League who, yes, is having a rough go at it, but it's the Buffalo Sabres right now. Like, a team that was supposed to take a step years ago and hasn't, right? Like, you're really going to give up on this guy, but if you are, and same thing with JJ Peterka, like, you trade that kid, like, you are a loser franchise that deserves.
Yeah, trade him here.
Like, but you get what I'm saying here? Like, so I just believe that, you know, you can do both. You can rebuild while still like bringing in some of these young guys. Like, if I were the Rangers, I'd be doing everything in my power to try and get Dylan Cousins from Buffalo. You know, I don't know. Like, I think teams are scared to take on Elias Pettersson right now, but that would be, and that would, like, they're not going to bring in Elias Pettersson because of, you know, the fact that they just brought in JT Miller. But
Who's had a worse season, Elias Pettersson or Mika Zibanejad? Kind of a random
I don't
question.
know the numbers
but
off the top of my head, but I feel like Elias Pettersson has just been like, it's just been like
been a
L
disaster over
after
there.
L. Like,
Holy, what happened to this guy, man? I don't know. Yeah, and Zibanejad too. Like, I mean, that kind of sums up this Rangers team for you, though. Like, pretty much everybody's fallen off outside of a couple guys. Yeah, now they're the position they are because of that. Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting thing. And Mark Lazarus put out an article, I don't know if it was yesterday or 2 days ago, but just talking about how like full tear it down to the core, to the, you know, to the scrap and bones, full rebuild like that has not been like super successful over time, and especially in like recent memory in the NHL. It has been like kind of like the reshuffling, retooling that has been a little bit more successful. Yeah, I don't know if New York, like that market, I don't know if they could
They
put
have
up
the patience for it? No,
4 years
absolutely
of
not.
hell, you know?
No. I mean, they take such a long time. I mean, see us, right? But I think we're going about the right way. Thing is, you have to be committed to it, right? And that New York market, especially the fact that they come up just short with this core, not going to be very thrilled to see a full-fledged rebuild. But I think that might be what they have to do here. Like, I don't know if retooling is really going to save this team right now, to be honest with you. It kind of felt like that's what they were doing with the JT Miller trade, but maybe it's time to backtrack. Yeah, I'm not really sure if they have much choice there at this
I don't
point.
know. I think you can do it if you're smart and you bring in like the right young players. Like, I can't think of any specific examples right now because like you'd have to take a look at like contract situations and term and stuff like that. But like, can you flip a Mika Zibanejad for a young promising player? Can you flip an Artemi Panarin for a young promising player? I think probably, you know, like I still think those guys have enough upside to where like teams that are contending right now would want them and be willing to give up. Like, I mean, dude, we just saw it with the Seth Jones. Like, Florida Panthers just gave up a future legit starting goaltender for, you know, a better chance at winning over the next couple of years with Seth Jones. So I think there are teams that, you know, are around the NHL that would be willing to give up young promising players, but you just have to find the right fits and you have to be aggressive with it. Breadman's UFA next year. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be curious. Yeah,
Yeah.
that contract's gonna look like.
Yeah, geez.
He still got.
Unless you've already talked to him about like a serious restructure and a decrease in pay, it's like, what are you can't, if you're the Rangers, you can't keep paying that guy anything close to what you're doing. Even though he's been, your best player, it's just like he's going to be 34 next year. He's going to be 34 in October.
Mm. Yeah, it feels like logically he's probably gone then. Blackhawks legend.
Shifting back a little bit, just, so this doesn't become the Rangers hour, but yeah, I think the Rangers are going to be an interesting story to follow here going forward. Shifting back to the Colorado side of things, do you think that they're done?
Oh, we're making moves here?
Yeah.
That's curious. Let's
Like
see here.
Middlestat's name's been out there quite a lot. They've been looking for an upgrade maybe in the 2C position.
Yeah.
It just clearly hasn't been a fit there with him. I'm curious if they're done or if it's, they really believe, because we talked about this when we were like, oh, do either of you believe the Colorado Avalanche can win the Stanley Cup this season?
No.
As of
I
right
mean-
now, probably not.
Yeah, I would say so. Bit too banged up and just like they've been there, done that the last couple of years. It's just the depth isn't really there anymore. So Middlestat's not been the fit that I thought he was, that I thought he could be. But yeah, that 2C thing as a whole. I mean, you got Duran back. He's been playing well, and Nichushkin, when he's healthy, is a big boon to the team. But and obviously, McKinnon McNachas has been a nice connection there. He's kind of picked off, or Rantanen left off. You got a good, top end, but like it's same discussion as before. Just the depth just isn't there, and I don't think that's enough to carry you in the playoffs. As good as guys like Bakar are, they can't do it alone.
I think that they should try. They don't have a ton of cap space. Only a couple $1 million. But I feel like you need to try to make one more move in the forward group. But it's all for this. I feel like it's all about, can they stay healthy? Like, are you gonna have Val Nichushkin, disappear in the first round for whatever reason again? Like, is he gonna stay healthy? And Drouin too. I don't know. I think that if you talk about that third line being Drury, Colton, and Kirivanta, like, that's not horrible. I just think that if you can add one more piece to that middle six.
I just thought of something actually. Last year they tried to do that type of trade. They did obviously a Byram for Middlestat. Maybe they could try another type of like move with Buffalo where it's like Middlestat and whatever for Dylan Cousins. Is that a crazy trade? Like I know they've already kind of tried that with Buffalo, but it's like I feel like you add Dylan Cousins to this top six and that looks a lot better. Am I off my hinges there? Is that
I don't know if Buffalo's going to be like, oh yeah, we need Middlestat back now.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I was on nothing there. Yeah.
I see. No. But that's like kind of what that's
for Colorado. It makes sense. For Buffalo, it makes zero sense.
No, but that is the type of move Colorado should be looking to make.
Okay. So instead of, how about I don't know, Trevor Zegras maybe, throw him in that top six. Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't think you keep bringing up Zegras, and I think there's still a lot that he has to learn at the NHL level. Like, he isn't a guy that you're getting like to, be the guy yet, like there's still so much for him. And maybe if you bring him into a team with McKinnon and you insulate him like a lot and you have McKinnon to learn from, maybe he becomes that guy. But like, I feel like Zegras is a step back from Middlestat.
I don't know. I mean, he's had a rough last couple of years, but I think that's as much to do with the system and the fact that he's always been injured than his game. I don't know. Yeah. What about just circle back to Buffalo? What about Middlestat and I don't know, some draft capital, whatever, for JJ Peterka?
I don't know if
bringing back Middlestat.
Yeah, they're not going to bring back Middlestat.
No, I said Peterka. Wait. Oh, did I say Middlestat again?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I'm still
Yeah, because that's the problem with Colorado is because what is their trade chip? It's not like they have a ton of draft capital. Like they don't have much to move if they actually want to win. Like all the pieces they have that teams would want are super important to them for winning right now. So it's like, what move? Like I feel like that DeHaan for Lindgren, the extra stuff in there is like as good as it's gonna get for Colorado, unfortunately for them.
So
I don't know what the answer is then. Yeah, for
You
them.
need McKinnon to have a playoff run like McDavid did last year if Colorado wants any chance. Like he's going to have to put up 40 points.
I will say though, like to their benefit though, Natchez been a better fit there than I think people maybe gave him credit for. I mean, that trade's not looking so bad for him these days. I think everybody thought they got fleeced in that Rantanen deal, but if anything, if Rantanen doesn't work out there, we could say it's the other way around. I think his game, especially his speed, is one of the few players who could kind of keep up with McKinnon from that standpoint. So I like what I've seen with them together. If that connection cooks, that could take him far, but I don't think that alone can do it. Yeah.
all right, so Ryan Lindgren's brother was also involved in a bit of news today. Re-signed by the Washington Capitals to a 3-year contract extension worth $3 million on the average annual value. They now have their goaltending locked up with getting Logan Thompson done a few weeks ago. They now have their tandem locked up here, at least for the next 3 seasons beyond this one. So one Lindgren gets moved, another gets to stay put a little while longer, where he's been having success. You guys I like the signing for the Capitals. I forget, what was the AAV on Thompson? Was it 5.5, 6?
Yeah, I
Right?
think it was 5.5 or something. Yeah.
So to get your goaltending locked up for $8.5-9 million for the foreseeable future here, that's got to be pretty good. You get to keep both right catch goalies in your system. I like the move. I don't know how you guys feel about it. If it wiggles any emotions inside of you.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of had Thompson's had a great season, but I don't know if Lindgren's really, his season hasn't really been that great, but, he's been there for a bit there, so he could just be a solid backup to Thompson, I suppose. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, so I suppose it makes sense for them. Yeah.
Yeah, Thompson's is 5.85, so you got both these guys for a few years at 8.85. That's, I think, as solid as it gets for what's been one of the better tandems in the league. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't ruffle my feathers in any way, but good for Washington. They get Lee's vote of approval.
I like it, man. I like Chris McFarland, or no, that's the GM in Chris Patrick is the GM in Washington, and I think he's done such a good job there, like retooling this team, bringing in guys. Keep in mind, when he brought in Lindgren, he was playing for Springfield of the American Hockey League and had a dominant run. I think he brought them all the way to the Calder Cup finals where they lost. And, I don't know. Like, I love the Caps, man. Like that's becoming one of my teams here. Like, definitely in like the lower part of the second tier of teams for me. But I love Spencer Carberry. I love like a lot of the pieces. Like Alexi Protas is a beast. I don't think they're frauds as much as some people think they are.
Yeah, you're more sold on them than we are, I think.
But yeah, it's a good move. Also nice for Charlie Lindgren to get a little bag for himself too.
Yeah, good for him. Good week for the Lindgren brothers. Yeah.
Also, well, I mean, one of them had to move across the country, so
Yeah, maybe a bit of a bummer there, but I don't know. Is Metro, as far as Metro news goes, I think this Jack Hughes injury last night is a little bit bigger of a deal than the Lindgren extension in Washington. I haven't heard. I guess I haven't been on X over the past 45 minutes because we've been doing the show.
Don't call it X, dude.
Okay, dude. All right.
Twitter, whatever it is now.
I was on the Willis Tower before the show, and I didn't see anything specific about the injury yet. It sounds like they don't know exactly what it is, but I heard that Luke was really emotional in the locker room after the game. The collision with Ike, it didn't look good. It looked bad. I don't know if it's shoulder,
season
head.
ender.
It looked like it could be.
Which, if that's the case, the Devils are absolutely. They're cooked. Like you're not going anywhere without Jack Hughes.
Well, so does that kind of change what they're trying to do by the 7th? Like,
try to do damage control here and add, like, fill in the gaps here.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really replace that. I mean, I'm not really sure what you can do. I mean, you can't replace Hughes.
Couple rentals maybe. Like, what are you? But you're not going to just scratch the whole season and just be like, we give up. Like,
yeah, no, of course. Yeah, you could try to fill in the holes temporarily, until he comes back. Maybe it's not a season ender. Maybe you can get him back for the playoffs. LTIR him, and then kind of like the Chuck situation in Florida. So, who do you think they should go after?
I mean, it might not even just be one guy. Like if you're going to be serious about it, you might have to try to bring in a couple rentals. I don't know. We're going to have to like kind of wait and see before we even start throwing out proposals and hypotheticals. We're going to have to see exactly what the injury is and how long he's going to be out. But I would assume the Devils organization is going to try to do something if he is out for the rest of the year. No, Tassos?
Sorry, I'm maybe getting a scoop here, actually. So, what did you ask me?
Just like if they find out that it is really serious and he's going to be out for the year, they're not going to just scrap this.
They
whole
can't
thing.
do nothing.
They're going to try to do something by the 7th. No,
for the rest of the season, like including playoffs.
It looked like it could be bad. Yeah, I don't know. Like
so. I mean, Bill Zito said this morning, that he expects Matthew Tkachuk to be back for the playoffs. I think if you don't have Matthew Tkachuk in the playoffs, you're not winning anything. Like, you're not winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, Seth Jones ain't gonna save your ass.
I agree.
Yeah, so I mean, if you know that he's out, like, I don't know, can they bring in Rantanen? Like, do they even have the capital anymore to do something like that? Like, can you bring in? I don't know. Like, you're not going to bring in somebody with term unless you've committed to the idea that you're not re-signing Sam Bennett. So I don't know. Like, I think you're really, like, I can see them making a couple of moves, maybe some depth stuff akin to what they did last year when they brought in guys like Kyle Opozo and, different things like that. But I don't know that there's another big swing in them.
But I'm talking about the Devils with Jack Hughes. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Panthers. No. Jack Hughes fucking got killed last night. Him and Eichel like had a really nasty collision.
I saw what happened.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, what do the Devil like? If you're the Devils,
the Devils don't have Jack Hughes, they're cooked. They're done. You're not winning anything in the playoffs with.
Then do you just stand pat and just not?
You're just like, well, yeah, we're good. Like, better luck next year.
Kind of.
Season. Yeah.
Because you're not going to like sacrifice what you do have here though for the future just to like plug in a hole if that's what it's going to take. Because that's what it would take, right? It would probably take somebody big like in return to make that happen. I'm not sure how you go about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the Devils. So I guess according to CHR, they are really just having.
They're cooked. Yeah, that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm seeing here. I mean, right now, Daily Faceoff saying, well, we probably just don't know anything yet, but like it just says date. I mean, they don't have a timeline yet, so I guess that day doesn't really mean anything. But the way it looked definitely could be serious. If that's the case, then yeah, I guess for Devils you're screwed. Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know. Like, sometimes that happens where there's injuries in a season and they totally derail what you had going on. Like, Jacob Markstrom's been out for a while, and
there's some injuries you can't fix, you can't solve. Like, there's nothing you can really do about it, right? Yeah.
That just sucks though. Like, I genuinely don't know how I would feel if I'm a Devils fan. Like, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes right now, and it's like I don't know what I'd want. Like, I hear what you're saying, Justin. Like, you don't want to jeopardize the future for like this one season, but at the same time, it's like, people don't live forever. Like, time is precious, and like you got here this year. Finally, you made the playoffs. After a poor season last year, and I don't know.
I have an idea, actually. This might sound stupid. I know I've thrown out a lot of stupid ideas, not to make excuses, but I'm still way behind on my sleep count. Did not get much sleep, but we just talked about the Rangers, right? We just talked about them maybe needing a retool here. Is there maybe I don't know, somebody, maybe the Devils could go after Artemi Panarin and maybe, back in return, you got such a good young decor here. You have such a good prospect pool still, but a guy who's got a high ceiling there. But like, I don't know if they really need him. I don't know if he really is in their future. Maybe like a Simone Nemec or somebody like that in return for Artemi Panarin. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's not.
I had nothing there. Like, I know I was on to nothing with the middle stat stuff.
No. I think I don't know. I don't know if the Rangers.
I don't think they're gonna trade with each other.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because it's Devils and Rangers.
But I do think that Nemec could be a piece that the Devils like. because there's already been some rumblings this year of like, is he in the long-term plans for them or not? So like,
I don't think so.
I do see like that could be a guy they use as a potential trade piece.
Yeah, but you're not going to want bolster the Devils if you're the Rangers in your division. If they move on from Panarin, they'll go to probably another conference or something. Yeah.
Are teams, do you think, worried about trading for Elias Pettersson right now?
Yes. I mean, how can you not? I mean, it's proven, obviously, whatever the locker room issues with JT Miller were. I mean, since the trade, JT Miller has flourished. I think he has more points than Pettersson's had shots. So, Pettersson's just had an absolute disaster of a season. Doesn't really matter who he's playing with. It's just not there. And it's like, change of scenery, it could solve it or it could not. Maybe it's just a player problem with him, I mean, I'm not really sure what it is exactly. Why is that just a disaster of a year? But I think, how can you not look at the season he's had and not be a little worried? Like, it might not just magically solve itself with new pieces, new line mates, etc. Like, is it a locker room issue with him? I don't know.
It would definitely be a gamble going after him because it's not just that he's had a bad year. It's like his character's been questioned this year. Like that's the biggest question mark is like, is Elias Pettersson a guy that you can win a Stanley Cup with being one of your main pieces,
And you're taking on an $11.5 million contract too. And he has not played. I mean, we talk about the Seth Jones contract being bad. That one's on a whole nother level.
I mean, with the cap going up, it's maybe a thing that a team takes a stab at. Like, I really do feel like this would be the best time to buy him. Like, I don't think his stock could be any lower than it is currently. Maybe you don't give up a whole lot for him and then you bring him in to a good situation and just hope that he can turn it around. I know I saw the CHGO guys said Donato for Elias Pettersson straight up. Who says
what? Please tell me they were joking. Please tell me they were.
I think it was clickbait, but what
on earth is that?
But
if you do that, do it. Yeah, that's a great move, KD. Yeah, Donato for Pettersson. Man, the Vancouver GM would have to be on something to accept that trade. Because, this guy, look, I know he's had a disaster of a year. If we're just looking on this year, but it's like, man, he's 2 seasons removed from 100 points. Like, this is a guy is ceiling like he should be at his best, an absolutely fantastic one center. No, it hasn't been the case this year for whatever reason, the JT Miller stuff, whatever. He's gone now, so clearly, and he's still playing like shit. So clearly, it's not just JT Miller. But he could easily figure it out, right?
Justin, the reason why the GM for the Vancouver Canucks would do that, maybe not that specific trade, but something like that, is if they genuinely don't believe in him anymore. Like, if you genuinely don't believe him, you're going to try to move an $11.5 million contract.
I feel like they do believe in him, though, because, why would you trade JT Miller? Why would you just trade him and keep JT Miller?
I don't know.
Why would you trade JT? You know what I mean? I feel like that was them. Oh, okay, maybe it's that. So it's we get rid of him and they'll figure it out. Well, it hasn't happened. He's still playing like shit. So
because they thought what kind of the entire hockey world thought, which was just that Elias Pettersson may not be better than JT Miller right now, but he's younger.
But he will be. Yeah,
more potential.
Which logically makes sense. I think that's what I said. That's what most of us said. So the logic made sense. But it's like, are you really going to walk back on that now? I feel like now it's like you kind of have to ride this out.
But Pettersson might just be a diva who had a couple of really good seasons and is never going to be a leader on a winning team.
So he's a female version of a hustler. That's what he is.
It's a possibility, and they might not have known that because Vancouver had that great run last year, and they weren't supposed to be nearly as good as they were. So expectations were so low last year, and then they exceeded them tenfold. And then this year it's been the complete opposite. And you've seen him, completely spiral. So I don't know, man, it's a mess of a situation. And
yeah, seriously.
It's one of those where it's like, now that we have Seth Jones gone, it's like, oh, I cannot imagine having to deal with that right now.
So you wouldn't even want him. If that was on the table and we were, I don't know about Donato, probably it would take a little more than that.
No. I say all these bad things about Elias Pettersson. If we could trade Ryan Donato for Elias Pettersson,
you do that all day.
I would take the gamble. I
don't care about this season, man. Donato's playing the best hockey he's played in his career. I guarantee it's probably the worst hockey Pettersson will play in his career. I'm not saying he's going to magically become this, 100-point player again, but I guarantee he's not going to go through a stretch like this again. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, first of all, I'm trying to find the exact stat that I found. I thought I saved it, but I did not, apparently. It's JT Miller has like 13 points since being
That's
traded.
what I was referencing. Yeah, I'll
13 points since being traded to New York,
Pedersen
and
has 8.
Pedersen has 8 shots on goal.
Oh,
Yeah, let me confirm this.
Yeah.
I have the stats somewhere. Yeah, JT Miller, points since being traded to the Rangers, 12. Elias Pettersson, shots since JT Miller was traded, 8.
That's insane.
oh my gosh! Wait, I didn't read the rest of that tweet. I thought it was points.
Shots.
No, shots. He has 8. Wait, that was like that trade was a while. That was over a month ago. He has 8
Yep.
shots. I know there was the break, but well, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it did include the Four Nations because he was a complete ghost out there in that as well. So, wow, that's that. How they even do
Never
that?
mind. I think Ryan Donato clears.
Right now, but it's like, okay, like let's put the brakes on a little bit here. Like let's be honest. Like, do we really think Ryan Donato is just going to be like a top 6 guy for the rest of his career now?
No.
Look at his career. Like, I do think this is like, I like Donato. I think this season is going to be an outlier. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So it's like, wow, his value is high. You trade the guy. I'm sorry. Like, it's logical. Watch us, extend him, and then he reverts back to bottom 6, 20, 30 point guy. Like, this is a tale as old as time. Contract year, player steps up. You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, you're cooking.
I'm trying to find one.
I'm finally cooking. I know. I've not been cooking during this
You're
NHL. I got to
cooking.
step up here.
You're cooking.
Yeah,
I,
have to bring it back to the Blackhawks here.
Yeah, I know. Not to get back. It's hard for us to not get back to the Blackhawks.
Oh, when
but-
we start the trade deadline talk, it's like what teams do you think make most sense for Ryan Donato, right? Because it feels like that's the next move. If it's not Peter or whatever. Yeah.
Elias Pettersson's last goal was January 21st against the Buffalo Sabres.
Holy cow!
Yeah, it was against Buffalo. There you go. I guess that's the move. That's the move. Maybe I don't know. Pettersson to Buffalo, and they'll get back Dylan Cousins. Whatever else they could do. Maybe get Peterka. One of those two. That could be
It's
a trade.
been over a month since he scored a goal.
It's criminal.
Yeah, I mean there was a 2-week break, but still, that's that's rough. Yeah.
Who cares? He was playing and he didn't score in those games either.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, it's the same situation.
And also they traded the guy that was supposedly like the cancer in the locker room, the guy he was beefing with, and that's what was holding him back. Was like that whole situation.
Yeah, I don't know what's saving him at this point.
So I'm reading Jeff Merrick's blog right now, and there's a few different points we can touch on here, but the one relating to Vancouver, here's the quote. When you consider how crucial it is to keep Quinn Hughes happy, coupled with an increase in ticket prices next season, there's no way the Vancouver Canucks take a step back.
So you think they're kind of stuck here trying to right this ship? You want to upset Quinn Hughes?
Just horrible.
I know
Yeah.
I'm kind of like speaking negative I'm kind of like this team is toast. This player is toast.
Vancouver's cooked too. You can
Vancouver's
say
cooked.
that. Vancouver and New York
cooked.
are cooked, dude.
I will say I'm not
Vancouver, New York,
upset
and
about either of them.
Pittsburgh, Cooked.
Like, I think Quinn Hughes is as good as gone.
Quinn Hughes.
If I'm Quinn Hughes, I would have wanted to be out weeks ago.
Yeah.
Why would you stick around? Why
Even
would
he
you-
can't save this team. Yeah.
It's terrible. Another point here before we talk Gus Nyquist. According to Jeff Merrick, the Dallas Stars and Wyatt Johnston are working away at an extension. Sounds like it could be an 8-year deal in the range of 8 to 8.5 million. He had a hat trick last night against the St. Louis Blues. Yeah.
There goes Lee's offer sheet, Tree. That was never going to happen. That's never. Yeah, good luck. I mean, well, you were saying get rid of all of the draft picks. Well, there you go. That's what would do that. Get rid of all the draft picks for Wyatt Johnston.
I guess Merrick is saying that they want to have something done before making trade deadline moves here.
Yeah, I think they'll figure it out with Wyatt Johnson. You got to make him a priority. He's just got in bed. He's still so young too. He's already playing like this, man. He's gonna be such a good player for them.
No thoughts. Lee's just mad.
Yeah, I hope that crumbles and it doesn't get done until the offseason and then we offer sheet him.
All right, Gus Nyquist to the Minnesota Wild for a second-round pick in return.
Good deal for
Okay, if 2025 Gustav Nyquist gets a second-round pick, then my first-round pick for Ryan Donato should be on the table, I think, 100%. I think that's not being delusional because he's at, 21 and 57 there in Nashville. Like, it's been a disaster of a season. So that's a pretty fair return, I think, from that standpoint.
Yeah, but who's played well in Nashville this year?
Nobody. Not a single person.
Yeah, and I think it's a I think it's a good deal for Minnesota. Like you're trying to do something, bolster up a little bit. Um, I don't know. I think if he can play as well as he did last year, it's a good ad, and Nashville's retaining 50%. I think it's a good move for both sides, a rare W for both teams. That's kind of how I look at this one. I don't know if Tassos feels differently and is just going to shit all over Gustav Nyquist.
No. So, okay. So a couple of interesting points about this trade. This is Gustav Nyquist's second stint with the Minnesota Wild. He was traded from the Columbus Blue Jackets to the Minnesota Wild February 28th, 2023 for a 5th round draft pick. So the price on Gus Nyquist in 2 years, almost 2 years to the day of him being traded the first time to Minnesota, he gets traded now this time for a 2nd round pick. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Huh. Well, he did have 75 points last year. I'm still trying to
75
figure out how exactly that happened.
Because that line was the most underrated line in the league last year. The O'Reilly, Nyquist, Forsberg line was.
How the hell did that just fall off? Like, what happened there, dude? Nashville. What?
I think they added more pieces, and so they tried to mix it up and like
screw up the chemistry. How about that stat on Steven Stamkos? Like, how much games has it been since he last had a point now? Isn't it like
12?
That is insane.
So Gus Nyquist, first stint with the Minnesota Wild, he had 5 points in 3 regular season games. Not too bad. And he had 5 assists in 6 playoff games. So
he did his job. Yeah, I can't blame him. That's 10 points in 9 games for Gustav Nyquist. That's probably what you'd expect. So, what you wouldn't expect.
It's better than you'd expect, probably.
Yeah, no, much better than you would expect. So, I mean, good depth piece for them come for the playoffs. Maybe it could help them escape the first round.
What is, like, if Kirill Kaprizov is not back or not in the lineup or not,
they're cooked.
Yeah, they're cooked too.
Like just like the Devils. Like it's another injury situation. There's no trade you can make that's gonna, replace Kaprizov, but you can fill in the pieces, add some depth guys to help, give yourself a chance at least, so it's not a complete lost cause. I mean, I know it's a good team there, but I think with Kaprizov, like he's at another level. I mean, I think Jack Hughes is him. Like Kirill Kaprizov is a top 5 player in this league when he's on.
Yeah, I think Kirill Kaprizov means more to the Wild than Jack Hughes is to the Devils. Like,
yes, that team.
The Wild have been atrocious this season without him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they have absolutely no shot of winning anything. I don't know if they'll win 2 games in the playoffs without Kirill Kaprizov. So, yeah, I mean, he has to be back in the lineup and healthy for them to have any serious, especially with how good. I really do feel like the top teams in the West are good. Like, you talk about that first round matchup, like, no shot without him.
Yeah, I mean, we will talk about how valuable players are to the team. Like, you could argue there's no player that's more valuable to this team than Kirill Kaprizov is to the Minnesota Wild. Like, yeah, for sure. I mean, look at just the difference in their records with him in the lineup versus out of it. It's stark. So yeah, they might as well rename them the Minnesota Kaprizovs. I mean, they got no shot without him. Yeah.
And if the playoffs started today, they would be starting the playoffs on the road in Dallas.
Yeah, they get swept. They get swept without Kaprizov. It's
and
frankly, not even close.
And frankly, if Colorado catches them for that 3rd spot in the Central, then they're going to play the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round.
And that's not going to go any better. So it doesn't really matter who they play at this point. Hell, I think the Avalanche team right now would cook them too. Like I think, and the Jets, I don't think there's a single team here without Kaprizov. Maybe the Flames are the only one, but I don't think there's really any universe that exists that play that. Yeah, no, there's not. Yeah,
I don't even think mathematically there's a chance.
Yeah, there's no chance that happens. So, they just passed the Canucks for that last spot there. So I think we can start warming up the ink there for Lee.
Relax, they're still tied.
Yeah, well, I think things continue the way they are.
And as Tassos just informed us, there's no way they're getting worse. So,
who?
Vancouver.
Oh, Vancouver. Well, I mean, just because their management doesn't try to make them worse doesn't mean that they won't screw it up. Yeah.
I will say here, like I always assumed it'd be between the Flames and Canucks here. This wild card race in the West has kind of started to heat up a little bit. I mean, the Blues are only a point behind. They got a couple games in hand though.
I don't know.
Utah's 2 points behind. Utah's a sleeper, man. I'd like to see them take that last spot there. I think they'd be more fun to watch the playoffs than the Flames. Definitely the Canucks.
I think Utah has a better. I don't think St. Louis is in it at all. Just like seeing last night, like they just held. Dallas made them hold 6, and just like pulling Hofer, and then Binnington came in and was not any better, and just like
I mean, I think the Stars though, like that's I think they're just a damn good team.
Yeah, but I don't think they're making the playoffs. Like
That's what the playoffs is full of, though.
Yeah,
Really
yeah,
good
yeah,
teams.
yeah.
Yeah, no, but the Stars aren't just a playoff team; they're a cup team. There's a difference.
Yeah.
But St. Louis are Calgary and Vancouver both have 2 games in hand on them. Like we're already hearing.
Sorry, I'll let you finish before I rudely interrupt.
I feel like last night was kind of one of those games that, like, if St. Louis is not going to be a seller at the deadline, they kind of needed to win last night. Like, you need to put some wins together to be, like, seriously in contention for that last wild card spot. Like, if you're the GM of the St. Louis Blues, you should know you can't compete with any of these teams in the Central. You should know that. So, like, what's the point of trying to bulk up before, they should sell. The St. Louis Blues should sell.
And I think they're like kind of leaning there. You've heard names like Braden Shen out there. Kairu's name is out there. Buchnevich's name is out there. I've even heard Colton Parayko's name is out there, although I heard that the package would have to be massive to try and pry Colton Parayko out of St. Louis. And also what I was going to say is I think if Calgary played St. Louis in a 7-game series, the Flames would win in 5 games.
I think logically it makes sense for the Blues to sell, but it's like, man, if I'm a St. Louis Blues fan and we're 1 point out of a wild card spot and we're around shipping out, Jordan Kyrou and entering a rebuild here, I don't think I'd be too thrilled.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point.
But I think you're right, though.
Yeah. I think I would be conscious enough of like the fact that we don't really have a chance against anybody that we'd be potentially matched up against, because you're talking about either a Vegas or a Winnipeg first round. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I will say though, the Blues are a team, especially when Mr. Binnington, come those clutch moments, man, and he steps up, and a lot of these teams that are up high in the standings, come playoff time, kind of disappear sometimes. So, I wouldn't throw anything out come playoff time, especially got Jim Montgomery there. Behind the bench. I don't think much of this Blues team. I don't think it actually would happen, but it's like, crazier things have happened.
So the scoop that I was in on when I was not paying attention earlier, apparently I'm being told that an Erik Karlsson move isn't going to happen until July 1st or after the fact, because apparently he's due a large signing bonus on July 1st, and then the remaining money, like the actual dollars paid on the deal, is something like $5 million over 2 years. So that makes it much more appealing. I know the cap hit is still pretty big, but the actual dollar amount is a lot less. So that was the scoop that I was not paying attention for. 2 more things before we get going. I want to have each of us like pick a team that we think is like spicy to watch ahead of Friday's deadline. But one of the stories that I don't think a lot of people are really talking about right now is what's going on in the top of the Atlantic Division right now. The Toronto Maple Leafs currently leading the Atlantic Division, 8-2 in their last 10 games. The Florida Panthers, 2nd place in the Atlantic, 8-2 in their last 10 games. And the Tampa Bay Lightning in 3rd place in the Atlantic, 9-0-1 in their last 10 games. It's
going to be the quietest 8-win win streak I've seen.
Yeah. Like, those teams are just running the NHL right now, and they're all in the same division. Like, I don't know that there is a more important division to win this year than the Atlantic Division.
Yeah, for seeding, etc. Yeah, no, for sure. Makes a big deal. Got Battle of Florida tonight too, so that'll be a fun one.
Ooh,
Seth Jones debut with the Panthers. I'm sure that'll go swimmingly for them.
So no thoughts? No thoughts?
No, I agree. The only pushback I was going to say is I feel like everybody who watches us knows that Tassos is a bit of a Leafs fan, and I'm kind of a Florida Panther. I feel like it's important for the Toronto Maple Leafs to win the division. I think where Florida is at is like,
they could be anywhere as long as they're there.
They don't care. They do not care
who they play.
First round, the second round. Like, they feel like I would imagine you've been to the Cup back-to-back years. I would imagine you feel like if you're healthy, you can beat anybody anywhere at any time, on the road or at home.
Wouldn't you rather play the Columbus Blue Jackets than the Tampa Bay Lightning, though?
I think it matters. I mean, you look at the Leafs. I think it's a team that's always had a hard time the first round. I think I'd take them over either any of those wild card teams. Even the teams, it doesn't care who's in that spot. I think I'd take them. Put them against one of those Florida teams. I don't know. I'm not sold that they could beat any of them, to be honest with you.
I just like, yes, you'd rather play Columbus than Tampa Bay, but like, not real. Like they dog walked Tampa last year.
Tampa
Why?
Bay's different though this year a little bit. Like they're playing like the Tampa Bay Lightning we'd seen a couple of years ago.
They're playing better. They're playing better for sure. But I still think that if Florida's healthy, if Matthew Tkachuk's back in the roster, I don't think it goes past 6 games. But to your point, Toronto, I think you really want that, Columbus or Detroit or Ottawa matchup in the first round, and then hope the Panthers and the Lightning beat the hell out of each other in the first. And then, if I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that Tampa Bay beats Florida, but also I don't know if I'm doing that because Tampa's had success against the Leafs in the playoffs. I think for Toronto's, you don't want Florida or Tampa in the first round. So I think this is, a very important finish for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, plus if it's another early exit, at least you could say you won the division, right? I'm sure their fans really care about that.
Oh, you're such an asshole. Tassos is gonna jump through the screen at you right now.
Yeah, it's the you got to show up when it matters. I know it's the same thing over and over again. I know been there, done that, but it's like, doesn't really mean anything if you don't, get something out of it.
Hey, it took Alexander Ovechkin a while before he finally cracked through. Now he's forever a Stanley Cup champion.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. This has been since 2017, man. I don't know, but yeah, you're right.
I don't think people remember just how long the Capitals were hunting a Stanley Cup. Like it was,
but at least they were winning rounds and stuff. Like
they couldn't get out of the second round though for a while.
Yeah, they were running into like Pittsburgh in the second round every time.
Yeah, I guess I don't know that. And now that the Bruins are out of it, their kryptonite's gone. Maybe the road becomes a little easier for them.
The Capitals definitely have the same stigma as the Leafs do now, like without a doubt. Like I remember saying every year, the Capitals are. They're gonna do it this year. Yeah, okay. I remember saying that with the Capitals until they did it. So
the year they won the Stanley Cup was the first year they went to the conference final.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the first conference final that the Capitals had played in ever, and Ovechkin. So not an organization. Obviously, they'd been to a final in the 90s and got swept by the Red Wings. But yeah. All right, everybody. One team that you are intrigued by before Friday. One team that perks your ears up. Justin, you got one?
Yeah, I would say just the Hurricanes, just to see what happens with if they end up moving on from Rantanen already. I think that'd be kind of curious to see. I feel like for them, it's like you already threw your eggs in this basket here. I wouldn't if I were them, but if they find he's not been a good fit in the system, maybe they got to flip him again, which that would be kind of unforeseen, I would say. But definitely a team that I think you always got to keep an eye on them come deadline time. They're always busy. So yeah.
Lee?
I'll go a little like a different route. I'm gonna say Buffalo, just because I feel like they have so many pieces that everybody around the league wants, and they're obviously not gonna be, they're not gonna be buyers, you'd assume. I did see on Twitter today, one of the Buffalo insider people was just like, don't be super surprised if it ends up being a quiet trade deadline in Buffalo. But I don't know. I feel like there's going to be in teams, especially when we get close to those last couple days, that are going to really try to entice and do something. So I think if there's going to be big movement and big news, I feel like it might be one of those Buffalo youngsters.
As we know, that always goes super well for Buffalo when they ship out other, youngsters for more draft capital. The same thing tends to never happen, right? The same cycle repeats itself. So if I'm Buffalo, I think it'd be stupid to move on from JJ Peterka and Dylan Cousins, but this is Buffalo we're talking about. They're a team that definitely would go down that route. Not learn from their mistakes.
Like an Artemi Panarin or a Elias Pettersson or like that's
Pettersson.
Elias Pettersson's really gonna save that team there. Yeah.
No, but I just mean like what if you get like a star instead of draft capital?
Well, like that would suggest that they're close here, but it's like. I don't know, man. I'm not sewing on the ceiling of these guys.
Okay.
Like they've done this. They've done this. Like I don't know why. Why would you keep?
Yeah. So you need to. So why? So if you've done this and it's not working and it hasn't worked with this group, it was supposed to be a step up this year. Why are you going to just be like, oh no, we're going to stand pat and just do the same thing next year? It'll work next year. Like
you think 35-year-old Artemi Panarin's going to get them the playoffs?
Maybe because JJ Peterka didn't do it this year.
I'd rather keep the ceiling of Paterka, man. This is a young player who's
But
only
Justin,
scratched
you
the
haven't
surface
been
of what he can
waiting for
do.
14 years for playoffs. So
Yeah,
like,
but I don't think that's the move that's going to do it, though.
well, the belief in the youngsters has worked so well for them. Tassos, what's your team?
What do you mean belief? They've always been shipping out all these guys. Look at what happened with Sam Reinhart. Look at Jack Eichel. What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about this core that they have right now.
I know, but it's like I don't know. I feel like I'm talking to, I don't know, whatever.
My team is the Edmonton Oilers, just because they need to win the Stanley Cup this year. You got so close last year, and by all accounts, this is kind of feels like a weaker roster. You know, you don't have Evander Kane at full health in your lineup. You know, there's talks about Jeff Skinner not being a fit there. There's talks about Victor Arvidsson not being a fit there. I feel like Evan Bouchard's game is getting picked apart more than it ever really has. And for a good reason. Like, he's an absolute mess defensively. And then you have like the questions in net with Stuart Skinner. Is he enough? Is he not enough? You know, I think this is like, you have to go back to the Stanley Cup final. Like, if you don't, like, what happened? Like, what happened here? If you don't go back to the final, like, you can't not go back to the final if you're Edmonton. So I think they need to do something, and it needs to be the right something. Like, it can't be like, you can't screw this up if you're Stan Bowman. But you just, like, you can't screw this one up if you're him, and you have players that have not fit that you brought in this summer, and you have the two best players in the world. Like, figure it out.
Yeah, and I feel like pretty much every single media person, I don't think it was picking Oilers as the favorites for the Cup this year, right? I don't think there's a single one, honestly. Like, so it's like you got to live up to that billing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So what do you think would be the potential move there to help? Yeah.
I don't know. Like, could they? You see any move with Edmonton? Because I think they're pretty up close against the cap, if I'm not wrong. It would have to be like a money in, money out situation. Like, John Gibson has been linked there. Jordan Binnington.
But didn't they say they're not adding? Didn't Stan Bowman say he's not adding?
They're not looking
goaltender?
to add a goaltender.
Which is
Yeah,
kind
but
of silly for me. Yeah.
Yeah, but GMs always like say that they're not doing something.
Stan Bowman, he wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Got 5.1 in current cap space.
Yeah.
We can play with that. That's yeah, you can make that work.
Is there any way you could get Rantanen from Carolina?
Holy. Now that would be a move that would really wow, him and McDavid and Draisaitl. Wow. But I don't know if you're the Hurricanes.
I mean, I
Yeah, I don't
agree
know.
with you that the Hurricanes are one of the more like, I think they end up leaning more hanging on to him and going.
Yeah, I think
for
they
a run.
should. I think that's a
Why would
smart
you
move.
not?
Yeah,
What?
yeah, hang on to him.
Yeah.
Why would you make that trade just to give up on it after a few weeks? Like, well, what stupid would that be? And he's starting to figure it out. He's starting to cook there. So it's like sometimes that's all you need. Like, that's what these stretch of games are for before the playoffs, right? Let's get that chemistry worked out now. So come playoff time, you're ready to go.
Especially now, like, dude, you gave up Drury and Natchez for this guy. Even if you think you're not going to be able to reach a contract agreement with him by the end of the year and he walks for nothing at the end of the season, at least keep him for this run, because whatever you're going to get back by March 7th is not going to be anywhere near Marty Natchez. And so it's like you just look like a fool. The East is wide open. Jack Hughes just took a spill and might be out for the season. Keep him. Go for a Stanley Cup run this year. Even if you can't reach an agreement with him, I think you look more dumb if you trade him for whatever you are going to get by the 7th than if he walks for nothing at the end of the year. I think him just being a 1-year rental makes you look less dumb than trading him again before the deadline.
I don't think him being a 1-year rental and not re-signing him will look so bad if you have a Stanley Cup ring there. So, which again, I'm not sure if this team. Again, this is another team that come playoff time, they've always a second, third round team. But if Mikko Rantanen is on his game, like, that could change everything for the Hurricanes, right? Everybody was saying when they got this guy, like, just the way he's played with McKinnon, like, oh man, they're a Cup favorite now. And now suddenly talks have died down. But it's like, if he gets to that level come playoff time, then I think they are a Cup favorite. I think they're in the mix at least. That's a half measure. It's like you trade this. That's stupid. No half measures. You got to go all in, commit to something. And yeah, you got to keep Rantanen if you're the Hurricanes. I think that makes zero sense. I can't even believe that's even out there. But it sounds like it's seriously being considered, which I think is silly for them.
Okay. Last topic before we go, because we're right up against the clock here. So the Stadium Series was such a big hit in
great.
Columbus this weekend. That was awesome to watch. 94,000 people showed up. Columbus gets the win. The late goal from Justin Danforth. A lot of Red Wings fans calling high stick on that. Yeah, it was just looked awesome. Like, it looked like the Blue Jackets players too, especially, just like wrapped themselves up in that Columbus City pride and just, really had a great time. It looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was definitely the best outdoor game of the season, right? Not even close. But yeah, that was a great game, really close. I was hoping to go to overtime there. I mean, the Red Wings tied the game up pretty late there. That's what I thought was going to happen. And then as I saw live, as we were doing the Seth Jones emergency pod, they just completely fumbled the bag there. So, but no, great game, all around game. Showtime, man, had a hell of a night too. It was just fun to see. Wish it was another weekend where I could have gone to it. It's pretty close to Cleveland, but whatever. That's another side point. The event itself was great. I love the Red Wings guys showing up too with all the Gaudreau jerseys. That was pretty cool. Nice touch there. And for the Blue Jackets, I mean, a big win like that, an outdoor game. I mean, they're right in this playoff mix here. Like, just this Cinderella type of season continues for them, and I think I'd like to see them in the playoffs. I think that's a team that maybe we're disrespecting a little too much here. Everybody keeps writing these Blue Jackets team off like, oh, they have no expectations this year. It's going to be a disaster. But it's like, if they make the playoffs, like, are we convinced that it's just an easy first round exit? I don't know. I mean, that's a team I think that could upset, some of these teams we've been talking about.
I feel like I've been the biggest Blue Jackets apologist all season. I feel like I've been glazing them a lot. It wasn't just like a big win. It was back-to-back wins against the Red Wings, the other team
that they're in a fight with. Yeah.
You're battling with.
Yeah.
I really, and just like the whole Gaudreau thing, they had their the Johnny's family like lead them out to the game, which was so sick.
That was cool. Yeah.
I want Columbus in the playoffs so bad this year. And I want Detroit and I want Ottawa to miss the playoffs and Brady Tkachuk get traded to the Chicago Blackhawks.
So who do you want taking that last spot then?
Detroit.
Oh, I thought you said they wanted them out.
You just said you want them to miss.
But I was confused because I know you're a big Kane guy like me, so you want to see
Detroit in the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Detroit and Columbus in the playoffs.
I like the way it is right now. I love Rangers and Boston. Finally, I love these downfalls for both of these franchises. I'm sick of them. And Ottawa, obviously, you're on your Brady Tkachuk train again. Yeah.
All right, fellas, we got to get out of here. Been a good show. We are live streaming the game tonight. Remember Spencer Knight's debut. I'm seeing pics of him in practice right now. I think he's going to be wearing like a Florida Panthers helmet and Florida Panthers.
That's always so funny when you get these new goalies. You don't have enough time to really change all their equipment, so they have just the previous equipment from their own team as they're suiting up. That's really funny.
You can't go to Dick's Sporting Goods and get him like a black helmet or something.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
Is there no spare Hawks helmets laying around there? Probably not fitted for him.
Probably not. No.
I give him a Laurent Brossois helmet.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, make himself useful. I haven't seen him at all. I don't think he's there. Yeah.
All right, that's it from us. We'll be back later tonight for the live stream and then the post game after that. 3 different pieces of CHR content that you're getting from us today. But it is okay.
Do you want me to close with something here? One more thing just to close with?
God, I'm nervous, but I don't know.
We're rolling the dice here,
I honestly don't know if I do.
Okay,
what is
one
it?
quick quote, just on Spencer Knight. This is our boy's thoughts on Spencer Knight. His quote, Connor Bedard. For sure, obviously a very high pick and a young goalie who's excited for a fresh start. Obviously super talented, so we're excited to have him. It's good. He got to come today and get on the ice and kind of get that feeling out. Obviously, we're thrilled to have him. That's all I got. I just wanted to end with a positive quote there.
Absolute cinema.
All right. We'll see everybody later. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram and leave a 5-star rating and review. See you tonight for the live stream.